Hello, everyone. My name is Mark from the Misplay Podcast, and you're listening to Eternal Journey, everyone's favorite Eternal podcast.
Welcome to Eternal Journey, the podcast.
Greetings, all my knights and Puntawans. You are listening to Eternal Journey, the podcast that talks about all things eternal with a focus on limited play. It's episode 125 of the podcast, and we're going to be doing our rares and legendaries set review of Unleashed. If you are listening to the podcast, then by all means, thank you so much for listening, but this may be the episode that you tune in on the YouTube because you will catch every card that we were talking about on the video screen for your referencing enjoyment. Of course, I want to say thank you to all the great supporters of the channel. I really appreciate you guys. It's the reason why we do it, other than the fact that we just like hang out with each other as well. Speaking of hanging out, I want to welcome my good friends on the show, starting off with John Holio.
Not in the studio today, but happy to be here virtually.
Back to our regularly scheduled programming. And then, of course, sitting across from us on the internet is Alex. What's up, buddy?
What's up, fellas? Sunday afternoons might be a time we can record. I like it.
Sure.
Oh, snap. All right. So, of course, we're going to be breaking down each legendary and rare of the new set, giving it a grade so you can kind of understand where we sit on and why, because sometimes our discussions may be helpful and sometimes not so much. So let's go ahead and break down the grading scale that we're going to be using. First off are the A's. These are the bombs, the cards that are when you are ahead, can close out the game in short order, and or if you are behind, can help you stabilize. Cards like Hojin, Zhou, and Iadra.
All right, then going down the American grading scale goes down to B's, which are cards that actively pull you into a color. A premium ruble falls into this category. Such as Victimless Crime and other just, bomb uncommons we like to call them, or Brigade Hall in this example, and then also the Calderan Captain. Cards that make you want to play that color.
Yeah, then you got your C's, which make up the body of your deck. They are the Pawns of Limited, such as Saddled Sarasaur and Tower Lookout and Snow Peak Eagle.
And then that leads us to the D's, which are like the last inclusions, the cards that often make, the last cut, and you'd rather not play them, but sometimes you have to. Examples such as Runebinder and Hypnotic Elder.
And the F's, which are just completely unplayable or specifically constructed cards. Cards like Keep Your Distance and Emburden.
Then there's a build around grade. It's like cards that when they are low, stand alone, they're not very good, but when they are matched with other synergistic cards, they can be very powerful, and this includes cards such as Sindane's Bracers and Zoltan Ambassador.
Yeah, and this appears to be a build-around set of sorts, like lots of synergy cards in the set, so more of those than normal. And then we have market grades in other sets, but not this one because there's no markets right now.
All right, that will do it. Thanks, guys. That will take us to the first card up on your screen in fire. This is Cackling Hustler. This is a 1/1 mage for 1 fire, charge, summon, taunt, and Warcry this turn. And of course, we'll touch on the mechanics again. Taunt means that when this unit attacks, it has to be blocked at least by one other unit. It could be any unit that your opponent has, and it's only blocked if able, i.e. if the unit is flying and your opponent doesn't have any flying units and they obviously can't block, or if all their units are exhausted. This is a good way that we've seen to kind of get through damage, right, where everything has to, or the taunt unit has to be blocked and your other units can get in freely for the most part. This guy seems a little too small to me to make a difference. I guess the taunt on a charge kind of lets you surprise your opponent where they thought they had a block and they didn't, but at the same time, I barely want to be playing 1/1s for 1 in my deck, and this guy just doesn't have enough upside for me. I don't like him. Probably a D, though. John?
Yeah, we're playing some other cards kind of like this, where it's like a surprise taunt, even though it's like a dork, and they're kind of playing out okay, but yeah, like this one doesn't seem like a rare even to me. Like, I could go as high as a D+.
Alex?
One of the developers tried to like sell the usefulness of this card, how you can use it in different ways, but I don't think it's very good. I maybe C minus. I would give it a try maybe in a deck if I thought it would fit, but D plus sounds more along the lines for this card.
Yeah, D plus for Cackling Hustler. Next up is Totemite Munitions. This is a relic for 1 fire. Once per turn, you may pay 2 and sacrifice a unit to deal 2 damage to an enemy. So anybody, creature, unit, or opponent's face. I mean, we've seen a little bit of sack fodder, and like I guess it kind of plays into Unleash a little bit, but not really. I don't know. I don't think there's just a big of enough of a sacrifice theme for this card to be that relevant. It could trigger Frenzy, but you're going down a unit to do it. I don't know. I'm not particularly high on this card. Alex, what do you think?
I think in the right deck it could be good if you had a lot of Unleashed units just hanging out there, and somehow if you were in like a Unleashed deck that had yellow in it. But overall, yeah, C minus maybe. D plus, just like the last card, I think.
Okay, John?
Yeah, it's like D range for me unless you have some specific synergy cards like Rock Fort. If I had that, I'd definitely play this card. It just makes like one of these Totemites every turn that you could sack. So yeah, it's like a synergy card for me. Otherwise, I don't think I'd really play this in any deck.
Yeah, like it feels like a build around, but there just isn't the build around fodder. I can think of 1, maybe 2 cards that work with this. I'm with you. We'll go with D plus for Totemite Munitions.
Okay.
Next up is Rakano Anarchist. This is a 2/1 gunslinger for 2 fire, quick draw, war cry, and then frenzy, double damage this turn. Man, I like this card. This card feels really solid. It's exactly what you want to be doing in fire. It's not completely busted, but man, it could definitely do some busted things with a little bit of modification on it. Has war cry, has quick draw. You can do double damage out of nowhere. Yeah, probably C plus for Rakano Anarchist. What do you think, John?
Yeah, that's even a little low. I mean, I could go like B minus for this card. It's a great 2-drop. I wish they hadn't taken, like, in the previous season, there was an extra point of health on this. Like, the 2/1 makes it a little vulnerable, but I think that's fine for a 2-drop.
Okay. Alex, what about you? Where do you sit on it?
I love the Arcanist, the Anarchist. Yeah, B minus. I think C plus easy if it didn't have the frenzy thing. It's just a great unit.
Okay. All right. We'll go up B minus for Rakano Anarchist. Yeah, I just was a little conservative just because it is still a 2-drop with 1 health, but I could believe it.
Like the decks that can take out the Unleashed decks are the like super aggressive decks, and this card falls right into that. So I like it a lot.
Gotcha. All right, next up is Display of Passion. This is a fast spell for 3 triple fire, and then you have 3 options. You can deal 4 damage to the enemy player, or you can play an Ornate Katana on one of your units, which is a +2/+0 and summon draw card, or you can deal 5 damage to an enemy unit with Endurance or Lifesteal. Oh man, like we typically are a little bit higher on Modial cards because of the fact that you have options and flexibility, but I'm not super impressed with any of these. I guess probably, honestly, the Ornate Katana is probably the best variant of it just because it replaces itself.
Yeah, it's like a combat trick, right? It's like the fast katana.
Yeah, it just the +2/+0 though means that there's a high chance that the unit you're putting on is not going to survive combat anyways, right? It's just going to be trading up maybe, but it's not really a 2-for-1 because obviously it replaces itself. Dealing 4 is relevant, especially at fast speed, so you can trigger mid-combat frenzy, but man, I don't know. I think I'm not particularly high on these cards. What do you think, John?
But I like some of the other displays. This one, like, none of these modes are quite good enough. Like, I think, if I'm getting past this and I'm in a fire deck, I'd probably play it. But it's like a D plus.
Yeah, I can get behind that. Alex?
Yeah, as far as like where you would pick it, like D plus, C minus maybe. If you're in a heavy red deck, sure, you play this card, because it does different things potentially. But out of these, this is probably the worst one of the worst ones. So yeah, D plus. I wouldn't be looking to pick this early at all.
Yeah, and like off the top of my head, the only card that really stands out to me as far as a good target for the third mode is the refugee, and there's only one pack to see them, so right? And then sometimes the unit you want to kill, it doesn't have endurance or lifesteal, it has like flying or unblockable. So
Or it's like a 4/6.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't die to 5 damage.
Yeah, so D plus for display of passion. Next up, we have Caleb, a Glory Seeker. This is a 1/5 Scion. This is probably the smallest we've seen Caleb, which is kind of funny. For 3 red. Once per turn, you may pay 3 to discard a random non-power card from your deck. And it is random. Caleb gets plus strength this turn equal to its cost. When he hits the enemy player this turn, draw that card from your void. So this is a very interesting card, right? Because your opponent, it's kind of it's not really a threat of activation. It's just kind of a game of chicken, right? Does your opponent want to... man, this is... I like this card, but I like this card because of the complexity. I'm just getting a headache just thinking about it. So you attack with this, and your opponent has to figure out whether they want to block and risk losing their unit or not, or not block and then risk you drawing a card and taking some damage, or not activating it at all, right? Because 3 power is a cost, right? You can essentially, it could eat up your turn where you're not doing anything else. So that's where I think the game of chicken is, right? If you have 4 power open and you swing, it's like your opponent has to kind of make that decision, and you have to as well if they block or they don't block. It's interesting. It's very interesting. That being said, it is once per turn, so you can still activate this on defense as well. Now the flip side is it is right once per turn. You may play a power from your deck.
I know it says once per turn.
Since when can you do things on your opponent?
It just means on your own turn. This is not Magic.
Oh, okay, my bad. Well, then there you go. I'm glad you guys rectified it for me then. Sweet. Okay. So, and then it's random. I don't know. The random part is what really gets me, because you could attack, they block with their 4/4, and then you may or may not be able to kill it. Yeah, I don't know. And then if they
block, before you attack.
Oh, so you can't even do this in response to blocks?
You're playing too much Magic, Jedi.
Oh, all right. Well, then this card's just bad then, right?
I don't think so.
All right, you guys take it.
I don't think
my
it's
brain
great,
hurts.
but
My brain hurts. You guys go.
It's just like weird taunt, right? It's like he has taunt without having taunt. And like your opponent knows what card you might get back because it goes in the void before you start attacking. And so like they have to decide whether possibly losing their unit is worth you getting that card back or not. Like I think it's fine. The biggest downside you mentioned is the cost, right? Paying 3, like you can't just do this every turn and further your game plan really, because first of all, this thing won't just have a good attack all the time. And then like paying 3 means you're less likely to be able to, either clean up some unit blocking or do a combat trick or something. Like I think it's fine. I'd go at least a C+ with this one. I'm hesitant to go much higher.
That's exactly where I was at. The C+. It's kind of a weird card. Sure, I'll put it in the deck and try it. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's a 1/5 for 3, which is okay in this format, and then it does potentially some crazy stuff. So C+.
Yeah. All right, C+ for Caleb Glory Seeker. Next up is Hunting Dragon. This is a 5/4 dragon for 4 double fire, reckless, and then summon. You get to give it either flying or taunt. John, what do you think of Hunting Dragon?
Yeah, this card's great. The flying beater. I think it's like a liability to just give it taunt on the ground. Like the board state might seem like it's a good idea the turn you play it, but your opponent can just make that look like a stupid decision like one turn later if they just play like a deadly or something. So I think you're going to give it flying most of the time. A Flying Reckless 5/4 is not so much of a liability; it's more of like a beater. So I think this card's great. It does have Reckless, so there is a drawback, and like the 4 health means it dies to a good amount of things in the format. You know, like Searing Fist is still there. There's a primal deal 4 in these packs that you see relatively often, like Icicles, and then sometimes just dealing 3 plus a way to clean it up is enough. Like, so the 4 health is, kind of a downside as well.
The Shadow -4/-4 as well.
Yep. So I think it's still great though. Like maybe an A-, but definitely at least a B+.
I like B+ for it.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, like you said, Searing Fist is still a thing. There's still a couple of things that can kill it, but a 5/4 Reckless, man, does some work for sure. And it's not too hard to give it a combat trick. It's huge in the air. It's absolutely ginormous. Where you at on it, Alex?
Like I want to give it an A-, but Reckless can't block basically ever. So B+.
I'm only even considering an A because this is like one of the best cards in the set.
Yeah, it is a really good card.
It's like there's just not that many like A level cards, honestly.
It can play out in a game as if it was an A, basically, if it just comes out on turn 4 and your opponent's dead, but it can also not.
Yeah, B+ I think is fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, B+ for Hunting Dragon. Next up is Gift of the Daimyo. Excuse me. This is a relic for 5 double fire. At the start of your turn, create and draw a random weapon. Then discard it at the end of your turn. If you have no units, also play a 2/2 Oni Grunt. So this is better than Windvoke because it's repetitive and could potentially give you a unit, right? I mean, the thing is, if they keep killing it, you keep getting it. Oh, but it is exhausted, so I guess you're not going to be blocking with it. That would be kind of busted. Am I reading this wrong though?
Well,
I mean,
Windvoke you get to choose as well. So no, I don't. And you have to discard it if you're not using it. So no, I don't think it's better. I think it's a playable dirtily relic, and I like these kind of cards usually. I might, just because it has the ability to keep playing a dude, if they keep getting rid of your one unit. Like, I think that gives it some points, even though it's exhausted. I don't want to get too high on this one, though. I think, like, C+, B- range is probably fair.
Yeah, I mean, you're also taking, turn 5 off, which is kind of relevant as well. This format feels slightly aggressive. Yeah, I think the randomness, it's probably a little bit better than a C+, but maybe not. I guess you can get some real stinkers out of it too, right? And it does take up your turn, right? You can get like a 4-cost weapon, and it'll take up your turn 6.
I just really, the fact that you can get like, say like Bejeweled Knuckles and then have to throw it away because you don't have your 6 power yet is kind of annoying.
Yeah, and then of course the unit, the 2/2 that it makes is exhausted, so you won't be able to block with it. So even if you put the weapon on it, you know what I mean? Yeah, I could probably go with a C+ for this one. Alex?
I'm a little higher than a B-, just because it makes the dude, so it's going to give you a unit, and it could just take over a game, like in an aggressive deck where you already have an okay board presence on 5. You just plop this down, and it can really just take over the game. From experience, I've seen this work. So, yeah, I like it at B-, actually.
Okay. Well, John was back and forth, and you've seen it play, so I'll give it to you. We'll go B- for Gift of the Daimyo. All right, let's see. Next up is Halo Tipped Spray. This is a spell for 6 triple fire. Inscribe, kill all enemy relics, then deal 6 damage to the enemy player. Well, this card did work in my Stone Scar Burn deck, but I don't necessarily know how good it is because it is just straight to the face. I mean, it gives you some reach, but there was... What was the last spell that we saw? It was 6 damage for 6 power, right? And it could go anywhere, and that one barely saw any play. Does Inscribe kind of put this one... I don't know. I guess with Inscribe, what is it? Like a C-, a C, John?
I think it's a power that can deal 6 damage, so I think that's like a C.
Okay.
Occasionally, killing all relics is like actually a thing as well. But 6 triple fire is a turnoff, but it has inscribed. So yeah, I think just a C for this one.
Okay. Alex?
Like, it kills some things in the game when you want to kill them, like expedition gear, or right when they're about to pop off with the yellow hour relic that you play on too. So it can kind of wreck your opponent, and like John said, it's a power that has that ability. So I'm on a solid C for that.
All right. Halo tipped spray, you get a C then. Inscribed, just still being powerful. What can I say? Excuse me. Next up is mass production. This is a spell for 7 quadruple fire. Draw 7 cards. Ooh, what? At the end of your next turn, discard your hand. Frenzy, i.e. if the opponent takes non-combat damage. If mass production is in your hand, reduce its cost by 1. Huh. So this is interesting because this is like a 7 cost spell that you actually want to have in your hand as early as possible. I mean, how many times do you have to cost reduce this before you're happy about it, John?
I don't know if that number exists in limited.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Just if you can cost reduce it, I still just think the whole thing is just such a liability.
Yeah.
This is like a constructed card that I'm sure
Okay.
some people will play in limited just to try it.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally just, you have this dead card in your hand. If early on, how even the best frenzy decks aren't just trivially popping off with frenzy. Some of the ways to do that are slow. Like, aren't you just getting run over? Whereas, like, if this card was, a removal or a unit, it would help you not just get run over. Like, I don't know.
So
I'd rather
you're
just
on
play
F?
looting than this every time.
Okay.
And it's quad fire as well. Like, so in limited, are you even going to be able to cast this before turn 7 anyway?
Yeah.
And even then, there's a chance you still don't have your 4th fire.
All right. Yeah, I think you made a pretty good argument for it then. Before I give it an F, Alex?
Is drawing 7 cards for potentially like 1 or 2 something that you would consider a build around thing that you would build around towards?
I don't
Give
think
this
Like
a
a
so.
build
bad one?
around.
Build around D? Like, I don't know.
Unless there's something in the format that like triggers with you drawing extra cards, I don't really think so.
There is, but it's like Primal or Elysian, so...
I mean, drawing cards and like having a bunch of cards and then power to play stuff is, pretty okay if you draw 7 cards and have like 5 power still. But yeah, this is like build around F. Yeah, I don't like it.
I'm sure someone will make this work at some point, but I don't think it'll be any of us.
Fair enough. All right. F for mass production. Next up is Striding Skyline. This is a 7/7 Sentinel mob for 7 fire fire. Of course, we've read the tribe mob before, and you guessed it, Overwhelm and Unleash. Jeez. Summon, you may sacrifice a relic to get 7 power this turn. So, unfortunately, this synergizes with a card not in the format, because that would have been busted, but... I mean, 7/7 for 7 is pretty dirtily. The Overwhelm pretty much is what helps it. I mean, I have seen some people play some, like, junky relics in this format so far. So, getting 2 7/7s for 7 is pretty good. They can't be chump blocked. I don't know, though. Yeah. C+?
You're way off.
I'm way off. Is it Unleashed? Like, is it just a B?
I almost want to give it an A, but I know it's probably a B+.
It's like build around A, and without build arounds, I still think it's like a B.
Because you said there's like bad relics, but this works with the bomb relics that you could sacrifice like expedition gear, and it's like just as good. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah,
I've seen this in a number of games. It's great.
Okay, all right. So
It's
A.
Like, no, maybe not A, like B+. Like, I want to give it like an A-, but it costs 7. You have to get to 7. But if you do, it's not hard to have 1 relic and play 2 of these, and that's pretty much game ending if you do.
Okay, fair enough. All right, B plus for Striding Skyline. I just die before I get to 6 power half the time,
You
so
always say that, like, well, I would never get to that board state. I would just die.
because it's true. Have you seen me draft? All right,
I saw
next
a
up.
7-win deck last night, is what I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, with you and John coaching me. Anywho,
I
no,
wasn't. Oh,
actually, no, it wasn't. It was 6 wins. Ha! It was 6 wins, and one of those was a freebie. Remember, my 5th win opponent just straight up started the game and conceded. So ha!
Yeah. Saw the name across the table and was
yeah,
like,
like
I'm out of here.
you were preceded by your ruthlessness.
Yeah, it was one of the 4 people that listen to the podcast. Got it. All right, next up is Grumbo Toda Legend. This is a 1/1 Totemite for 2.
Well, that was red.
Yeah.
Oh shoot, that was red. Wow, I forgot. We go through it so much quicker when it's the rares and legendaries. I mean, typically I think it was the same pullers. Actually, no, we saw one card that was borderline unplayable. Everything else seemed 2 cards. I get no 1. It was 1. Yeah, wow. The rares in fire actually seem pretty decent.
Yeah, they're okay.
Yeah, sweet. That actually, yeah, I like that. I didn't even think about that. Man, that did go by pretty fast. But yeah, I think you're not disappointed if you start off with a fire rare. Okay, going into time. Grumbo Toda Legend is a 1/1 Totemite for 2 time. When you play another unit, you gain 1 health, and Grumbo gets +1/+1. So we've seen this before, John, plenty of times, but do you think how cheap it is and the fact that you gain a life, is that good enough? Or is it just because it's an Unleash format?
All of the above. Like, Grumbo's kind of insane. I think the Unleash format puts it over the top, right? Like, this would already be doing fine, even if you were just playing like 1 or 2 units in any given turn, but yeah, Grumbo can like just run away with the game. He's very good. I want to give him maybe even a B plus. Like, one, it's like easy to cast and it's easy to make this insane.
And it's in the same color as 2 of the cheapest Unleash cards that we've seen. So yeah, I could get behind that. Alex, what do you want to give it?
So it's like a little vulnerable at first and is an insta target for a lot of things that can kill it pretty easily. So B plus for me.
All right, B plus for Grumbo. Yeah, this card could definitely just do some really stupid things. You're like, well, that's out of range of all my removal now. Next up, Intruder Alarm. This is a fast spell for 2 time. Inscribe. This turn, your cards can't be stolen, and the enemy player can't force you to discard or sacrifice cards. F, right? Even with Inscribe?
B minus?
Did you say B minus?
D?
Oh, D minus. Got you.
Just because it has Inscribe means it's like
Begrudgingly playable.
technically playable.
Okay, all right.
But this is like as a power in your deck that maybe does something. I think like it's a last cut.
Well, of course, they even worded it where it says the enemy player can't force you to discard. So you can't like do this to save one of your Unleash cards, unfortunately, which would be sick. But
Right. No, but it also like, if they somehow, like if you have a reason to want to sacrifice your own guy in the same turn, at least it doesn't turn that off. But like, this is such a, like, the effect is so niche whether or not it does anything. But it's a Inscribe, so yeah, D minus.
all right, D minus.
It's like can I just say this would be like an A market card, basically, because it's like a yellow power if you need it, and it could do some random crap you might need to do.
Yeah, I could get behind that. That does seem pretty powerful. If you can grab it exactly when you needed it. All right, so D minus for Intruder Alarm. Next up is Spin Down. This is a fastball for 2 time, Void Bound. Play a power card from your Void or put a non-power card from your Void on top of your deck. Alex, what do you think?
So this card is a fixer, right? It costs 2. I kind of like this card, and I'm wanting to splash a variety of different colors when I'm in yellow. C plus.
How are you getting the power in your Void?
I think he was talking to you because I'm trying to think. Is there any? There's no discard in the format, right?
There's some, but yeah, I don't like this card. Um, the only time I feel like it's any good is if like you play like a time X invoke, and this is like the spell you get. It might let you like spin that invoke wheel again, but like I don't think I would ever main deck run this card. Excavate was like in the last format, and it was like occasionally okay, but it was still mostly bad. And it's like a worse excavate in a lot of games because you don't gain the life, and it costs one more. So I just don't like this card. I'd give it like a D minus.
Yeah, I think the only time this card really shines is when you have like a bomb rare that really kind of is a game winner on its own, which ironically this is a rare, so
Right.
Yeah, I misread this card. I thought it would let you fix guaranteed. It's not very good. I read it like backwards.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, probably a situational. So F probably. I don't think you really want to run this. So spin down, you get an F. Where are we at? There we are. Next up, Display of Realities. This is a fast spell for 3 triple time. Play a 1/1 Scorpion with Deadly. Give a unit in your hand +1/+1 and charge, or kill all relics on the enemy player. I like this one. I don't think it's too far-fetched for it to be a removal spell as a baseline, right? With the Scorpion with Deadly at instant speed. You can also, at the end of the turn, give, one of your units in your hand charge. So there's some flexibility to it. It feels very timey for sure. But I think the fact that the baseline could potentially be a removal spell makes this pretty decent. Triple time is a cost, though. I don't know, C plus, because if they have like a flyer, then you're kind of upset about it. It's definitely not a wasp. Yeah.
Yeah, I think C plus is fair. All the modes are like good enough, and like if you have enough of the unleash cards, you'd be super happy about the second mode on this one.
Right, and even with that deck, if you're in it, it's still hard to cast with 3 times. So yeah, C plus.
Okay. So C plus for Display of Realities. Next up is Phineas, right?
Phineas?
Phineas. All right.
Answer.
Phineas.
Yeah, there's like some cartoon.
Phineas Still Here is a 2/3 explorer for 3 time. When Phineas takes damage and survives, he gets +1/+1. Entomb, draw an attachment from your void. If it costs less than or equal to Phineas' strength, play it instead. I think this card's just fine, right? What is it, like a C with the potential of being like a B? Right? There's no relics in this format right now that are completely busted. I mean, I guess in Combray, getting back your Bejeweled Knuckles is probably the best thing I can think of off the top of my head. I mean, it pseudo draws you a card, but it needs to be in the void already, which doesn't always happen. I don't know.
It's also not. It's not exactly a must-answer threat either. It's like taking damage and surviving on a 2/3 is not like a trivial task. Like if it was like deals damage, I think it'd be much better, right? Mm-hmm. Like if it could tussle in combat and survive and get buffed. Well, I guess that in combat it does, but like literally if it connects with the enemy player, it's still just a 2/3, right?
Yeah,
like you can shoot it yourself, like with some spells, right, to buff it.
Mm-hmm.
If you have like a spell that can deal 1 to your own unit, but a lot of the cards that you'd want to do that only hit enemies. So I don't know. I think it's like a C, C plus maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I see it probably being best in like Praxis, right? Where you have all these pump spells, so when your opponent goes to block it thinking they're going to kill it, you can pump it, and then you have a couple of high attack, low armor weapons that you can get back.
Yeah, it just definitely needs other cards to be good, right?
Yeah, without a doubt. Alex, what do you think?
So this guy's, serviceable, that can get bigger. It's a pretty good blocker, like on the ground. It like prevents little things from getting in as it gets bigger and then becomes a better blocker. So I'm on C plus.
C plus. Okay, that's fair.
All right. C plus for Phineas, still here. Fair enough. Next up, John, tell us about Hexavore.
All right, it's a dinosaur, double time. It's a 4/4, has Overwhelm, and the text is Hexavore can never be stolen. If the enemy player makes you discard Hexavore from your hand, play it from your void. So yeah, this is like good. The stats are good. Occasionally, even in limited, the makes you discard can actually happen. It's not something you'd want to rely on. Like, you certainly don't run this in your deck if you can't cast it, hoping that you'll get the discard going or anything like that. And there's like some combos in the format that care about this unit because it has Overwhelm, or that it, because of its size. So I think it's a overstated unit with some upside. So I think it's quite good. I'd give it like maybe a B minus.
I'm all for all. I was like, for all the same reasons John said B, but yeah, I can go B minus.
Yeah, I think B minus. It's not game breaking. It's just a solid card. I'll go with B minus. You guys covered it pretty well. All right, next up is Dune Hill Clan. This is a 5/5 giant mob for 4 double time, endurance, and unleash. Alex, what do you think?
I think this card is amazing. It's in the colors. You're doing the unleash stuff. It's not hard to play 2 of them. I mean, it's a endurance, so that makes it even better than a normal dumb unit at this size. So like B plus A minus. Is that crazy?
I'm closer to just a B on it. But I think, like, I've played a few times in most of my games. I'm just running it out on 4 basically, because it is such a nice way to stabilize. Trying to hold this to get to 8 power to play 2, I feel like you're losing a lot of value a lot of time. But that makes it a better like top deck late game. So
also a good unit to bounce with the bouncers late game too.
Yeah, like if you have synergy to possibly play it again, then you're super happy about just running it out on 4. Like, I think it's like a solid B.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning with Alex here on the B plus, because like, man, you're adding 5/5 worth of stat or 10/10 worth of stats on turn with 8 power, and like you said, they're endurance, so you're not even afraid of bashing in half the time. I think this card does a great job of stabilizing. I've been on the receiving end of it, and you're right, running it out on 4, if you have a little bit of support for it, it's pretty overwhelming as well. I mean, that takes huge chunks of your life. So I think this guy's a B plus. I think it performs a little bit better, and it doesn't take much support to be busted.
Works for me.
So B plus for Dune Hill Clan. Next up, Gift of the Arcanum. This is a relic for 6 triple time, plus 3 maximum power. At the start of your turn, gain the power you didn't spend last turn. Huh. Yeah, no, this is just constructed. This is F for limited, right?
I don't think so.
All right, please break it down for me, John.
I think it's like a build around. Like, if you have enough unleash cards, I think you'd play this. Honestly, it's kind of like Double Door, except it helps you go wider instead of bigger. Like, I've played this already, and it was good. Like, it can let you, instead of having 6 power and playing like 3 unleash guys, it might literally double that because of the whole gain power you didn't spend last turn thing. And it's already like so it goes from 6 to 9 already, and then it's not hard for that to be like 10 or 12. So it lets you kind of like vomit all over the board with a single unleash card, which is kind of insane. So I think it's definitely just a build around. But I think it's like a pretty decent build around, actually.
Even if you have to take your turn 6 off?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Alex?
So, dang, I thought it was me. Sorry. So you take turn 6 off because you don't do anything. Then turn 7, you're waiting to do your big unleash thing to do it on turn 8, where you get Heck of Unleash things, where you would have had Heck of Unleash things already. I mean, that's like way more win more for me. I'm on like very low D.
Oh man, this is like a three-way split here. What'd you give it, John? A build around?
It's just build around. Like, I mean, it looked bad, but I tried it already, and it was great for me in a Unleash deck.
So what, like build around B minus, build around C?
Yeah, build around C, I guess. Like,
all right, we'll go with build around C. I can go with the build around. We'll give some credibility. I probably won't play this card, but I mean, you're right. With Unleash, you definitely have a place to dump all that extra power you're getting for sure, and then you just kind of have inevitability, right? Where it's like, I'm just gonna keep building up my power. I'm charging my laser. So fair enough. All right, Wandering Hamlet is next. This is an 8/8 Sentinel for 8 triple time. Your other units have +2/+2. Entomb. Draw 2 cards and give each unit drawn this way +2/+2. I want to like this card. I really do, but is it too clunky and too risky, John?
I think it's pretty good. It's like,
oh, thank goodness.
It's, I mean, getting to 8 in this format is something that happens way more often than normal for me. And this, it does something the moment you play it. It's like +2/+2 to your entire team. Like, that's kind of a lot. So I want to give this one a pretty good grade. And then, like, the Entomb is nice too. Like, the only thing it's missing is its own evasion. But I think it does enough where I'd want to play this. Yeah, the 8 triple time is the only kind of thing bringing it down a little bit. But for me, getting to 8 can be done reliably enough in this format. I want to give it a pretty good score, like C+, B-, somewhere in there maybe, just because of the cost.
Alex, what do you think of Wandering Hamlet?
Yeah, I'm right there with John, where I think this is a very good card for the time of the game where you're doing that, and the Unleash units that you have out. It's just a great payoff for that. Yeah, I like it at a B.
All right, so I'll go with B-. It doesn't take much. I wanted to give this guy a good grade anyway. So Wandering Hamlet, you get a B- from the crew, the Krinkle Bros. All right. Next up is Rewind. This is a spell for 10 quadruple time, unleashed, voidbound. Take an additional turn after this one. Build around or F, John?
This one I would say is just a constructed card. It's an F.
Okay. Alex?
I had an opponent do this against me, and they still lost. Yeah, this is not good.
All right. Rewind, you get an F. Moving on. Oh, that was time.
That's
yeah,
time.
Time's solid.
Yeah.
It is solid, man. I know, I mean, we had a couple of stinkers, but the majority of cards, I think, had a lot of playability to it. I like it. I like it quite a bit.
Yeah, looks strong.
Yep. And it better be, because all of them had a hell of a lot of influence requirements. So, yeah, you better make sure that if you're in time for a good reason, because holy cow, do you have to commit. All right, next up is Justice. Starting us off is Display of Law. This is a fast spell for 3 triple J. Kill an enemy unit without a battle skill, or give one of your units double damage permanently, or play a Justice Sigil from your deck. Huh. Man, I don't know. Like, Limited typically has a handful of units without battle skills, but then again, I think the ones you want to kill do have battle skills. There are a couple of combat... Oh, actually, I don't think there's combat tricks that give battle skills in this format at the moment. Double damage is pretty impactful, but it also doesn't pump stats. So, I mean, you did mention, John, that you like the time relic that ramps, so this ramps for Justice Sigil?
If you've already got 3 Justice Influence.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I think I don't like this card. Going through it, like, it sounded kind of good, but then when I put it together, it's probably still a D plus.
I'd give it like a C, probably just a C, because sometimes it'll be fall short, and sometimes giving one of your units double damage can be backbreaking.
Well, that's essentially why I started to rate it lower, because I normally was a little bit higher on fall shorts, and then those things just always did it underperformed. So
I think in this format, fall short is worse than normal. But I think most of you are using this to give one of your units double damage. Like, that can just be a game-winning spell.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay.
It's flexible, which brings it up just a little bit. Like, I don't think in limited you're almost never going to be playing a Justice Sigil from your deck. But the other two are relevant in most games. So, like, I'd give it like a C or C minus.
Okay, Alex.
Yeah, hard to cast. Modal that does some things that are potentially useful. C minus as well.
Okay, C minus for Display of Law. Mystical Shackles is next. This is a cursed relic for 3J. Summon, silence, and kill an enemy unit. Entomb, the enemy player plays a 3/2 soldier. Alright, I mean, it's borderline clean removal. The silence part is kind of nice as well, because it does prevent any kind of like horrible recurrence shenanigans. Though, if your opponent, it does disincentivize you from using it for sack synergies, right? Because then your opponent gets a unit. It's not a completely irrelevant unit, even though it's not busted. Yeah, probably still a B minus just for the efficient removal side of it. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just a C plus, because it is slow speed, but does get rid of absolutely everything. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Alex?
So I'm on like a B minus for this card because of the things you said. I like this card a lot. It's great.
Okay. John?
Yeah, the fact that it's a cursed relic in this format also makes it a slight liability because of face aegis. So I think it would be a B, but because you have to put it on the enemy player, that's another condition for it to even work. So I'd give it like B minus. I think is good. What y'all said.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's a very good point. B minus it is for Mystical Shackles. Next up is Parliament Elder. Yes, another. Wait, this one's just a bird? Huh. I thought they were just doing griffins and owls. Did they?
Yeah, this one is clearly an owl.
Yeah, that's awkward. Okay,
it even mentions Parliament, right?
Yeah, that's weird that this is not an owl, actually. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
It may be one of those things they go back and change if they make like owl tribal matter or something, I guess. Anywho, Parliament Elder is a 2/4 bird mob for 3J. Flying, unleash. When Parliament Elder hits the enemy player, stun it. Alright. When Parliament Elder becomes stunned, play a Justice Sigil from your deck. So, it does play it, right, from your deck, so be advised, you could tap out at some point where you don't have any more Justice Sigils. It hits the enemy player, so it could still block. And, this card's still good, right? Because it's 2/4 flyer with Unleash.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
I don't know, solid B? Is it busted?
No, it's not busted. It's really awkward at actually killing your opponent.
Yeah, so B minus? B?
I think solid B, because it's flexible. It can ramp and the Justice comes in ready to play too, right? It's not even depleted. So when you have two of these, like, you just suddenly have 2 power, and it's like playing them from your deck. And actually it'll ramp you if your opponent stuns it for some reason, right? It just says when it becomes stunned, which is kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it's a really nice body in the air for stabilizing, but it's not the best at attacking because, like, it's really slow. It's stunned for 2 turns after you hit it one time, right? So, but yeah, it's still a nice flying unleashed body. I think it's solid B.
All right.
I like it as well. If you turn it out on turn 3, if it starts getting in there, it ramps you every other turn. It helps you do more unleash things. It's a great body to play 2 of, and you could like interchange your attacks or whatever to keep a blocker. It's a great blocker. This is a solid B, maybe even a B plus, because flooding the board with 2/4 flyers is amazing, especially when they're buffed. B plus. Sorry, I love it.
All right, I'll go with an even B for Parliament Elder. So solid. All right, next up, I know, John, we were high on this guy's wrench. Let's find out if Rivet actually plays out to his equipment. Rivet Tinker Whiz is a 2/2 Tinker for 3 Justice. Rivet has Warcry for each of your relics. So if you have 1 relic, it's Warcry 1. If you have 2 relics, Warcry 2. And of course, with no relics, he is simply just a 2/2. And then Entomb, gain 2 armor and Scout. So baseline is a 2/2 for 3 that can Scout and, I don't know, C? I mean, he has the potential of, yeah, I don't know. I wish it was like, what is it? Tribute. You know, you create his wrench or something like that. The fact that he doesn't give you his wrench is kind of a bit of a miss on flavor and playability. I don't know. I don't like this guy. I don't think he's horrible because there is some upside to it, right? If you potentially, it is relics, so it doesn't count weapons. So it's not like you put Starkist wings on him and then get in there and kind of do it, right? I don't know, probably C minus. Like,
like this being the Tinker Whiz, like this is the best they got. So Tinkers are just whack then, right?
I'm not gonna lie, I wish I wanted to build Tinker Tribal, but Tinkers don't really appeal to me. I wish I did though, because they could be super cool. But yeah,
I hate this card. Everything about it just screams trash. But it's a 2/2 for 3, so it's begrudgingly playable, I guess.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking like C minus, D. Okay, I can go that. You don't think there's enough? Yeah, you can. Yeah, there's really no relics that stand out. Best case scenario, this guy's gonna be like a Warcry 1. Right?
Warcry 2, maybe, and then it's still just a 2/2 attacking. Like,
yeah, okay, fair enough. I can go D with you. What do you think, Alex?
Agreed. It's not something that I'm really looking or excited to play.
Okay, all right. So D for Rivet the Tinker Whiz. Unfortunately, really want him to be good, but yeah, I think they definitely should have made it to where you can make his wrench, right? Kind of like how the Yeti, the rock sled, the Yeti can make his sled.
It could be
like Decimate. This doesn't seem like a rare. It's just so bad for a rare. Like, I'd be mad if I opened that.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that. I'm running what the broken part of it is to make it a rare, right? Anywho, next up is Resonance Wave. This is a spell for 4 JJ. Silence an enemy relic or give one of your units +6/+6. Man, I would have liked this card if it was fast, but that being said, it's not.
Here's a note before we go to
inscribe, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to say inscribe according to the devs. They just haven't fixed it yet.
Oh,
so I think we should rate it as if it has inscribe.
Okay, well then shoot, that makes it a lot better actually.
It's suddenly playable as opposed to just
so an even C.
I think so.
Yeah, I think with inscribe it's an even C. Yeah, that makes it a lot better for sure.
Agreed.
All right, so C for Resonance Wave. Oh man, Shinra's back? That's freaking cool. Holy cow, did she get yoked? Dang! Oh my god, alright.
She's scary.
Shinra's Peacemaker now is a 5/4 Mystic. Holy cow. She's like, I'm gonna bring the peace to you if it kills me. It's just amazing, man. She goes from a 2/1 to a 5/4.
No, her original thing was a 5/4, wasn't she?
No, I think it was a 4/3, right? It was just.
Was it a 4/3? Okay, I couldn't remember. She got nerfed at some point too.
Yeah, because it was a 2/1.
She always grew.
No, I think you're right. If it was a +3/+3, then it'd be a 5/4. Yeah, holy cow. All right, I guess this is her final form. My bad. Anywho, Shinra Peacemaker, Hojin got the same treatment, right? Yeah, okay, fair enough. They're yoked on Unleashed, man. Shinra Peacemaker is a 5/4 Mystic for 4 JJ. Endurance, weapons and curses can't be played on Shinra. Oh, cool. So they've kept a lot of that. That's kind of neat. Summon, you and your units are invulnerable to damage this turn. All right, not bad. There is some recursion in this format, and she's a beater on her own. She is, you know what? She's pretty strong in time where you can modify her from your hand or bounce her and modify her, right? So you can't play curses on her, you can't play weapons on her, but you can still play spells on her. Man, she feels pretty good. And then a 5/4 endurance for 4 is ahead of the curve as well. You don't really mind playing her if your opponent's got like open power. Yeah, I like her. Is it too much to give? I mean, she's probably still not that great to be a B. Probably B minus. She can't be a C, right? She's got to be like a B minus.
Yeah, B minus is exactly what I would give it.
Alex?
Yeah, you guys are right on par. I was going to say B just because, it's pretty powerful. On the turn, you could play it, and if you could recur it, but B minus sounds fair.
Yeah, I mean, she still dies to Searing Fist, right? If we gave the dragon an iffy grade, like I think she's better than the dragon in some respects and worse than the dragon in other respects. So, yeah. Shenmue Peacemaker gets a B minus. Solid though, I like it. All right, next up, Nordoran's Ledger is a cursed relic for 5. Man, I must have not been paying attention to the spoilers or what, because a lot of these cards look brand new to me. Holy cow. Anywho, Nordoran's Ledger is a cursed relic for 5 Triple J. When an enemy unit attacks, the enemy player takes 1 debt. Man, I think this is an F.
Yeah.
Am I wrong, John?
No, I agree. I think this is like unplayable in draft. I've had an opponent play it against me already, and it like essentially did nothing.
Yeah. Plus, they're playing it on turn 5, which means you have a higher chance of having the 1 mana or 2 power to kind of burn, right? To get. Yeah, I don't like this card, Alex.
Yeah, no.
All right, F for Nordoran's Ledger. Man, has any part of Nordoran worked? I think all her stuff has been like bad, right?
I liked the body, the 2/5 lifesteal, like for 4. That was always fine for me last format.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Wow, Unleashed is it's going everywhere, right? Because we have the people, the cultist from Zoltan with the gems. We have stuff from the Spire, which is what was that set? Is it just the Spire, Void Spire, or something like that? This is interesting. So we're not in like one particular location for this set. That's interesting. I guess they're all going to Vegas to party.
Yeah. No, it's there's like some big meetup between like all these leaders from these different areas, it seems like.
Yeah, because then we got Caleb from the original Miria? No, what's the word? What's the
They
name
keep
of the
talking
word?
about a meeting like with the Triumvirate, which appears to be like some leader from Zolta Island, and they haven't really mentioned the third person of the Triumvirate, but
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so someone that follows the lore of Eternal, let us know in the comments below so we can mention it on the next podcast. Maybe, do we know, is there anyone in the community that's a big lore guy that we could bring on the show for a fun of?
not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't really read the stories, but I like to kind of know the storyline of the set in general. Anywho, all right, Fall of the Spire, which is interesting because isn't the tower getting eaten by the I don't know. I'm lost. I'm so confused now. Because didn't Talir's alternate self destroy this or whatever? Anywho, Fall of the Spire is a spell for 5 Triple J. Kill all units. Wow, I didn't realize it was a freaking board wipe.
Yeah.
On each player's next turn, that player can't play non-power cards with the same name as a card in their void. I mean, that's obviously constructed, but it's still a board wipe for 5, even though it's Triple J. I mean, these probably typically pay out like what, a B minus?
Yeah.
I think board wipes are typically B minus because they can completely blow out the opponent, but you have to be kind of adjust your play around it a little bit, right? And sometimes they're just duds when you're ahead. So yeah, I think a B minus for Fall of the Spire is fine. Alex?
Yeah, I agree.
You're muted, bud.
It wasn't unmuting, man. Not much more to add. B minus.
Yeah, typically all board wipes kind of play out about the same, and the extra text on this one isn't quite relevant. All right, next up is Aura Blade. Man, this is exciting. I think I like not watching spoilers, man. This is super cool. +5/+5 weapon for 7 Triple J lifesteal. And then enemy shadow spells and curses can't be played directly on the wielder. It's not a bad card, but it's not a great card. I think the fact that it has lifesteal helps. The shadow part is pretty much just going to hose one opponent every once in a while, but you don't really care about that part. The artwork is pretty cool as well. Man, 7 power for 5/5. That's like just under. It's not really. What was the shadow weapon, right? Where it's 8 for 6/6. I think Bejeweled Knuckles is better than this. The lifesteal helps a little bit, but not a lot. There's not a lot of ways to get armor.
That's a relic weapon. This is a weapon.
Oh, shoot. Oh, my God. Thank you, John. I even said it, too. That did not click in my head. Oh, yeah. Wow. Okay, this is way better, because you could put this on a unit and swing. Oh, my God.
Yeah, this is good.
C+, B-?
Yeah, it's still like Triple J, super late game, but
yeah,
this is like... I mean, if you have any unit, suddenly that unit is like super upgraded.
You slap this on the refugee, you have an 8-10 freaking lifesteal endurance. Like,
yeah, this gets whatever unit you put it on out of range of a lot of things. Like something like disarm or flash flood is like one of the cleaner answers at that point. Hopefully you have like an Aegis unit or something you can put it on.
Wow, I completely missed that. Holy cow. Yeah, that's way better. In Rakano, you have access to double damage things.
C+ or B- I think is still fair because of the cost.
Yeah, I want to give it a C+ to be conservative, but this thing may be a B-. I could see this absolutely turning a game around, and just, if you're on the receiving end of this, just being like, yeah, I have no way to win now. I don't know. What do you think, Alex?
I had to use 2 of the deal 3 damage spells and 1 0 cost 1 point damage to kill the unit off that had this, because it's crazy.
And they probably still gained life off of it that turn too.
They were at like 45 at the end of by the time I was able to kill it. I ended up coming back and winning that game, but took some resources to kill that one unit. So that was right there. Told me that card's pretty good. So I'm on B- actually for this card.
Well, this is the new bang high roll weapon, right?
Yeah, no joke, right? Yeah, oh man. I mean, granted, you're not gonna do anything for like 3 turns, but you may not need to.
9/9 on turn 4 with lifesteal.
Yeah, pretty busted. Fair enough. All right, Aura Blade, you get a B- for the time being, but man, super cool. All right, next up, Gift of Kasul. Man, we haven't been to Kasul in a hot minute. I would need to go back there. That limited format was amazing. Relic for 7 JJ. When you play a spell, give one of your units +2/+2 permanently. And then summon, play either Svetya's Decree, which, let me see, is the inscribe. Can you inscribe?
You cannot.
Well, okay. And plus, at 7, I don't think you need to anyways. Draw cards until you have as many in hand as the enemy player. Defend the treasury, kill a unit with even cost, or Kasul Battle Mage, a 3/3 with Aegis. When you play a spell, Kasul Battle Mage gets +1/+1 this turn. Man, this is interesting because I kind of want to say this late in the game, the effect is a little too late, but you get something right away when you play it, so you're not taking a turn off, right? And question, John, if you play this and you choose to defend the treasury mode, do you get the +2/+2 on one of your units you already have in play?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, wow. Okay, I like this card.
Yeah, I've played it already. I got a premium one of these in a draft the other day. It was good.
Yeah, I like this card. So, solid B?
Yeah, maybe even B- just because of the cost. But yeah, it's definitely B range.
Yeah, wow. This card, this card seems pretty darn good to me. Now, of course, it is spell, so you have to be cognizant of that, right? Your units aren't spells, but that's still pretty darn powerful. I
never played the Battle Mage when I had this in my deck. It was either the Defend or the Decree.
Yeah, to draw some cards, yeah. And then, of course, it doubles up your combat tricks as well, right? You play a combat trick to save one guy, you can poke the other guy. Yeah, this card seems pretty strong to me. Alex, where do you put it?
I'm on a B- for this card.
Yep. Okay, yep. Seems good to me. B- seems fair. Man, Justice, The commons and uncommons took a hit, but holy cow, the rares and legendaries delivered, man. There's some powerhouses here.
Yep.
Like, I mean, it's interesting that they're really leaning. We're going back to a place where there's heavy influence on these spells, man. A lot of 2 and 3 pips on these cards. So I definitely think you want to identify your lane. I'm interested to see if there's what players go with the 4 and 5 color good stuff in this format, because holy cow. But yeah, green seems strong. Okay, next up is Primal. We have Display of Survival. This is a fast spell for 3 triple primal. Transform an enemy unit or non-curse relic into a 1/4 dinosaur, or deal 5 damage to each unit played this turn, or draw a card and gain an Aegis. Alex, what do you think of Display of Survival?
Hard to cast, very useful, potentially in a lot of different modes. C plus for this card, I think. I would not be opposed to putting it in a blue deck at all.
Yeah, I've been fairly impressed with this card quite a bit. I think all 3 modes actually have some decent playability. Yeah, I like this one. John, where are you at on it?
I don't have anything to add. Yeah, I think C plus is fair.
Yep. This is one of the ones where you're going to get your card's value one way or another out of this one. I like this one quite a bit. Next up is Fissure. This is a spell for 3 blue. Unleash, deal 2 damage to each unit without flying. Man, I like this card. It can feel a little clunky, right? But I think the flexibility and the fact that you playing blue, you have more typically are the flyers. I don't know. I like this card. I don't know if it goes. It's got Unleash, John. Does that put it into B range, or is it still just a C plus?
I wouldn't give this a B anything, because it's 6 to deal 4, and then like a lot of times, even if you're the flyer deck, the opposing player has flyers anyway, so this card could literally do nothing.
All right, are you lower than that? Are you probably closer to like a C minus?
C plus, I think, is fair enough.
Okay.
In most cases, I'd prefer to be playing like the deal 2 inscribe from the last set, just because it has inscribe and it'll always deal 2.
Mm-hmm.
So, but this is like this can be a blowout. It has the high ceiling for sure.
Got you. Okay. All right. Alex, what do you think?
C plus. It might not do what you need it to do and might just kill your things. Yeah, C plus.
Okay. The premium artwork is fantastic on it. Just want to say that for those of you that are just listening. All right. Next up is Skycrag Synthesis. This is a fast spell for 3 blue. Inscribe, negate an enemy spell. Create and draw a random unit with that spell's cost. I mean, it's a counter spell that you could play. The later you play it, the more value you get out of it. And it's got inscribed. This seems solid. Is it B minus, John?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
I like this card a lot.
Yeah, it rewards you for holding it longer, and then like you know, like we've said before with Inscribe, worst case scenario, it's power, and anytime a power can do something beneficial for you, it's rocking. I mean, it plays out great early in the game. You really don't want to negate anything. You just want to go ahead and inscribe for power, and then later in the game when you don't need the power, it works out to be potentially a good unit. So that being said, it also is a random unit, so you know you potentially can upgrade from your opponent. So,
and this came up. This is an interesting interaction with this card. You can actually play it to get a 0 cost unit when there's no enemy spell on the stack. Yeah, I just thought that was an interesting interaction.
Yeah, I agree. That is actually, I would have never thought about that, but I guess in a pinch, it can do some work.
Like in Throne, there's some more 0 cost units that are better, like Sand Warrior or whatever. But I think the pool in Draft right now is all just kind of bad. Mm-hmm. I'm not exactly sure what it includes, but just an interesting note.
Yeah, fair enough. Alex, anything to add?
I love having one of these in a blue deck. I don't know if like it would make me want to pick it first out of a pack. So I'm on C plus for this one, not a B minus. But if you guys pull it up, you pull it up.
Yeah, B minus, 2 B minuses to a C plus. Fair enough. Next up, oh man, another one. I love the artwork. 4/4 dinosaur mob by the name of Carnivorous Terror. This is for 4 and a blue. You get Unleashed and Overwhelm. I like it. When you play another card with Overwhelm, Carnivorous Terror gets +2/+2. This card is freaking sweet, man. For 8 power, you get 10/10 worth of stats with Overwhelm, one of them being a 6/6, the other one being a 4/4. And heaven forbid, if you have 12, oh my gosh. Man, I really like this card. So let me see, John. You were a little bit lower in the 5/5. Alex was a little bit higher. This has Overwhelm. 4/4 for 4 is just okay. You're not upset about it because it has Overwhelm, but you play this on 8, you get 10/10. Man, I think it's a solid B. Am I wrong on that, Alex?
I think I would give it a B plus. I like this card a lot. When you play 2, how it's 10 stats. I like it in the Frenzy deck because the 5-drop 0/5 with Overwhelm like turns this guy into a 6/6 that next turn. Like B plus. I like this guy a lot.
The other thing too that I guess I failed to mention, I was thinking of just Unleashed, but I mean, if you play any card with Overwhelm, this guy gets the +2/+2. It's not just on the summon. So yeah, shoot, man, maybe you're right. Maybe it is just a solid B plus. John?
Yeah, if we give that other one a B plus, I don't hate that grade for this one. There's definitely enough other cards incidentally with Overwhelm that this can just grow, including like Icicles is an uncommon in Primal, for example.
Oh, nice. Yes.
Yeah.
Mid combat. Oh,
Yeah.
Hey, does
Well,
this
Icicles
trigger
is
with
slow.
the 5-cost spell that gives something Overwhelm? Does that card count as having
That should
Overwhelm?
not work.
Okay. I haven't tried it yet. I didn't know.
No, that should not work. But
Okay.
any other unit or spell with Overwhelm or weapon just buffs it. Yeah, it's solid. B plus is fine.
All right. B plus for Carnivorous Terror. Next up is Island, Hand of the Tempest. She is a 4/4 Scion for 4 quadruple time. Did we not get? Oh, we did get a Scion. Anyways, 4/4 quadruple blue, Aegis, Frenzy, +1/+1, and flying this turn, and reduce the cost of Island's ultimate by 1. Ultimate, pay 9 to cast Channel the Tempest. John, this sounds like a U card. Break it down for us.
Yeah, I crafted 3 premium islands for constructed like day one. I like this card a lot. In draft, however, she's not nearly as good because of the quad blue and the frenzy build around, but like base rate 4/4 Aegis for 4 with an ultimate that doesn't actually need, like, if she just exists and the game goes long enough, you can pay 9 and do it. You don't have to trigger frenzy, but like if you can actually like incidentally trigger frenzy on a turn or two, she'll get in the air for 5 or more, and the ultimate will be like 7 or 6. Like that's kind of insane. So she has a good floor. Like the only downside is just the quad blue, right? But I think she's so close to an A. Like I want to give her a B plus though. But even that, like, just because of the quad blue, she could even just be a B. But I like her a lot.
Okay, yeah, I could get behind that. Alex?
I mean, that's the most cost prohibitive bomb I've ever seen. Like, I would say B minus. So hard to cast.
Okay.
The highest I can give it.
All right, so and you gave a B plus, right, John?
Yeah.
So we'll just meet in the middle. We'll go even B on Island.
Okay.
All right. Next up, Gift of Zolta. This is a 4 blue relic ultimate. When you play another non-weapon relic, transform Gift of Zolta into a copy of that relic and gain Aegis. So it does nothing on its own, and you have to have another off of it. F.
Yeah, I think this one's just an F.
Ditto.
Yeah. That's just no.
No more words.
Nope. Let's move on. Next up is Town Bully. This is a 1/1 Yeti for 4 blue. When Town Bully hits the enemy player, it gets +1 strength. Frenzy, play a 6/6 Jotun if you don't have one. John, you've played against this guy, and you did a pretty good job break it down. Go ahead and break down Town Bully for us.
Yeah, I think this one's pretty strong. Yeah, it's it's obviously a very fragile card as a 1/1, but it's like essentially a must answer threat, even though it's like it's not a threat in and of itself, right? It's this frenzy trigger is kind of insane. It just puts a 6/6 into play, that you just don't even care about, right? Like it's just a free 6/6 attacker basically. And if you have any repeatable frenzy triggers, like I think you'd always play this card if you have any reasonable amount of ways to trigger the frenzy. If it's literally just going in your deck as a 1/1 for 4, I don't think you play it.
Yeah, and and obviously it's in the snowball color, and we have at least one common that creates snowballs for you. So yeah, I think this, it. You're right. It's a must answer threat, and yet the body of itself, I don't know, you still feel pretty good about killing this thing. You're not happy about it, but you know how bad it could get for you. So I
it's kind of like it's kind of reminiscent of Yeti Intellectual, right? It's like just such a dorky unit, but you're just from the other side. You're like, if I don't kill this, it's gonna run away with the game. It's kind of a very similar effect.
Yeah. I agree.
So C plus maybe for this one, or I mean, it could even just be a build around because, like I said, I don't think you play it.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think this one actually is a build around because you want to be doing frenzy things. If not, you're just playing a 1/1 for 4, and that feels horrible.
Yeah, I think if this is in your deck, you're playing Sticky Fingers for sure.
Yeah, Sticky Fingers, maybe a couple ways to make some snowballs, maybe a backlash or two. You gotta have something. Like, there's no way you just put this in your deck and hope that you can trigger it like once, right? So
right.
Yeah, I think C plus is probably probably build around B.
Yeah, build around B maybe.
Yeah,
exactly. I'm down. Like if it has a build around grade, it's higher than just regular. So yeah, build around B plus even because it's not hard to have a lot of triggers to get a 6/6. You just keep pumping them out if they die.
We'll go with build around B for a bully. I think that's pretty fair. All right. Next up, Life Changing Meal. This is a spell for 6 blue. Transform each of your units with 3 health or less into a random unit that costs 1 more. And each of your units with 4 health or more into a random unit that costs 2 more. So I know some people like these cards. I can't stand them because they always do me dirty. And this one causes you to take your whole turn 6 off. And then how many units do you have to feel good about this? And like, yeah, no, I personally don't like this card. I'd give an F. I'm never going to play it. Alex, are you on do you see something different from this card?
This was the last cut in a deck. It's like the reason I cut it because it was going to change all my units that I needed because those were the units I was bouncing and I needed to grow. And I'm like, I don't want to change my little things into different, bigger things. So I cut it. But in the deck where you like don't really care about the units, you just like have units out, like this could be pretty good. Like, I don't think it's an F, maybe a C minus. I don't know. I'd really like to think what John thinks about this card, or see what John thinks.
I've put it in a deck already and played it, and it was good. But it was a build around of sorts, right? Like, if I was doing like Unleash Synergy, I probably wouldn't want this. Like, if I just had some incidental unleashes, like just some 2/1 platoons or something, I think like you don't care about transforming those at all. But like I had this in a deck with like 2 Scaly Gruons, I think like 2 Mithril Guardians, like that kind of thing. So those all got the 2 more side of the card. And yeah, this card was it kind of turned around the board state. I think both games I played it in. I could give it a build around grade because of kind of what we talked about. Like, there's definitely a deck like Alex mentioned where it would be like the last cut kind of card, right? So it's kind of hard to rate this one. I definitely don't think it's an F. And it's not like you're doing nothing the turn you play it. You just upgraded your whole board, so possibly you can get a really nice attack in the turn you play it.
If you have a board. Yeah, well.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't help if you're way behind as far as quadrant theory goes.
Right? No presence at all. You're just dead.
I
Yeah.
mean, are you even happy if this thing changes 2 units? Is that good enough?
There was one game where I was getting my butt kicked, and all I had in play was a 0-5 Mithril Guardian, and I was getting like beat down in the air. Like on turn 5, I think I played a Wings on my Mithril Guardian because I was getting that desperate, and then on turn 6, I was like YOLO, and I transformed it, and I got the the 5-cost Shadow Dinosaur with like Deadly and Lifesteal that is a 6/6, and it just won me the game. So
I witnessed this game. It was amazing.
yeah, I was like
All
just
right.
straight up losing this game, and I transformed a single unit, and then I won.
All right. So C for life-changing meal, game-changing meal.
It's like, yeah, it's just such a wacky card. It's so hard to rate. I don't know what to
All
give
right.
it.
All right. Fair enough. We'll just give it an even C. Next up is Palak, Zoltan Elder. He is a 2/6 shaman for 6 blue. When Pelak attacks, invoke Primal. Inspire. Units you draw, including the one you invoked, get +1/+3 in Aegis. A+. Can we move on?
Dude, like easiest card for favorite artwork, like off the bat. This card is just bonkers. Like, this is an amazing draft card. A+ for sure. I love it.
Yeah,
this
even if you
card's-
never attack, its Inspire is kind of insane.
Oh yeah, absolutely. A+, clean, man. It's been a little bit since we've had a card that's just straight up this cleanly busted. It's it's good. It's a
And
good.
it looks so freaking cool too, man.
It really does. It really does. I agree. All right, next up is Sundown Accord. This is a 6 blue spell. Draw a single faction spell from your void. Then transform each primal sigil in your deck into a copy of that spell. This thing makes my head hurt. John, can you break it down? Like, I mean, it's at 6. You probably want that effect, but you want
we forced Gunner to play this in a draft, and we were half memeing or whatever, but it was kind of insane what we were doing with this card.
He turned all his primal sigils into Searing Fists.
No, we were playing the Unleash, create and draw Valkyries. So
oh my god.
We did it, like with 4 power, we did that, drew 2 Valks or whatever. Of course they're busted. And then once we had enough power, we drew our spell from the void, so we had one in our hand to do 3 more times with 6 power, and it transformed all the primal sigils to more copies of that card. So yeah, like I mean, I could give this a build around grade, because you need enough primal sigils in your deck. You need the single faction spell in your deck, a few hits at least that you're happy with doing this to. So like I could give it a build around grade. It was so dirty in this deck that we were playing it in. Like, it was super fun too. So I could give it like a build around. It's just so like weird and janky.
So just to give it like a stamp, right? How many good spells do you want in your deck for this to be good? 2, 3?
Well, I'd want like, a hit that's like a good enough removal. A hit that's, like, I think another game we did it with Flash Flood as another great example. So yeah, like
at
least
the
3 or 4
cost do 2 damage spell. I mean, I don't think it's really hard to get a spell that is worthy of playing it a bunch of times. Like, yeah, I don't think it needs a build around grade. Basically, like, this card might. I don't know.
Okay.
I like
what are
it.
we giving it?
I can give it a build around grade if you guys want, but I think you can like get this card late and be like, oh yeah, I have enough spells that I wouldn't mind having copies of. So I'm like a B- or C+, just as a card on its own. And if you build around it, it can be broken,
Okay. All right. So what do you want to give it, John?
I'll just defer to you guys.
I still think it needs a little bit of setup, so we'll go C+. I think just a general C plus, because there are going to be some spells in your deck that you're gonna want, and like John mentioned, with if you get like something like a Winvoke card or whatever, then it's just absolutely busted.
You can't do
And
Winvokes because they're all multi-faction.
I was hyperbolic. My bad.
Okay.
I was speaking hyperbole. Like just a busted card. Like I mean, essentially the Valkyrie one is kind of Winvoke, but yeah, I got you.
Sure.
So yeah, that's fine. We'll go with C plus for Sundown Accord then. I think Alex made a pretty good point on it.
I mean, it can have 2 grades really, because you can get this pack one, pick one. You're like, yeah, this is worth trying to meme off on with it. Or if you get it late, yeah. So I mean, it's a build around A, I think, even.
Okay.
So, but whatever you guys want to do with the grade, you know, I definitely do believe it does merit some building around for sure.
All right, build around A. We'll lock it up there. Build around A for Sundown Accord. Next up, oh wait, that was Primal. Man, Primal is busted. Like
and fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Primal's definitely got the
Sweet
W
cards.
there. All right, that takes us to home stretch with Shadow. Nico Urban Hunter is first up. This is a 3/1 warrior for 2 Shadow. Nico can't block, and then Frenzy, draw Nico from your void with +1 strength. I'm biased. I don't like cards that say can't block. John, am I wrong? Like I was about the whatever the Root Wall of Mandrake thing is?
Yes.
All right.
I don't think this is like insane in draft or anything. Like it's completely busted and constructed. But like, playing a 3/1 and then attacking with it and then just, getting it back occasionally. Like if you're able to buff this in any way, it can be kind of busted. Like just giving it deadly, for example, is enough. Then it can like just literally trade anytime it attacks. It's just like, there's so many synergies that need to come together for it to be good, right? You have to have the frenzy triggers in your deck. You have to have some way to buff it, I think, for it to be good. So without giving it a build around grade, I think it's just a C.
Okay. Alex?
So I played against it where my opponent brought it back 4 times. By the time it was back, the second 2 times it was a 5/3. And I just kept blocking it. Like with little guys, I kept chumping it. It doesn't block, and it wasn't hard to really deal with. And I was the opponent going off with it. So I'm like lower. I'm like C-. It can't block. I don't like that.
Okay. All right. Then we'll go with C- because I'm low on it
Sure.
as well. All right. Next up is Toxicology. This is a spell for 2 Shadow. Deal 2 damage. You may discard a card to give Toxicology deadly first. I don't know. Baseline 2 damage for 2. That's fine, right? And occasionally it can get upgraded at the cost of a card, probably power. So probably just still a C plus, right?
Yeah, you're 2-for-1ing yourself. It's slow.
Yeah, exactly. So
if you have ways to get the spell back, it'll already have deadly, which makes it a little better. But this deals damage, right? So you can still just get blown out by something like a Forestall or the new Justice Forestall, where you just straight 2-for-1 yourself.
Yeah.
So like, I don't think it's as good as Collapse was.
Yeah. So I'm good with a C plus.
Right. Now I had Collapse in my head about like trying to compare this to that, and it was like less than that, but it also goes great in the Frenzy deck, so it's a Frenzy trigger like as well. So like it's a little better in that deck. But yeah, C plus and B minus in the Frenzy deck, I think. But yeah.
All right. Fair enough. C plus for Toxicology. Next up is Display of Will. This is a fastball for 3 Triple Shadow. Kill an enemy hero, or the enemy player sacrifices a relic or sight, or draw one of the top 4 cards of your deck, bottom the rest. I mean, at the very least, I guess it draws you a card, right? Lets you dig a little bit deeper. It's at fast speeds. You could do it at the end of your opponent's turn. Heroes are normally relevant card types, but your opponent may not always have one. And I think the sacrificing a relic or sight is kind of medium at best, probably low end. So, I don't know, still a C minus, maybe an even C, just because it could cycle itself.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I think a C is fine, just because at the very least it gives you a little bit of card filtering. Alex?
Yeah, C minus. I can go up to a C with you guys, and man, there's some funky looking people going to this gathering. Like this guy looks cool, man.
Yeah, no joke, for sure. Yeah, I think a C is fine. Just the fact that it lets you, like, you're not just cycling, it's a little bit better than cycling, so sure. All right. Next up is Golden Horn Security. This is a 4-3, and was this one of our preview cards as well? It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
This one came from
Hold on. Oh my gosh, I knew it until you said it.
Yeast Out.
Was it Yeast Out? Yes,
Yeah.
it was Yeast Out. That's right. Thank you. Yep, there he is on my Discord. All right. So Golden Horn Security is a 4-3 Minotaur mob for 3 double shadow. Unleash, and which is already great. And then when Golden Horn Security attacks with another Minotaur, your Minotaurs get +1 strength this turn. B, just saw B, right? 4-3 for 3 already is kind of good on curve. And then you can, for 6, you get 2 of them. For 9, you get 3 of them. Feels pretty good. That being said, I mean, a vanilla 4-3 essentially isn't completely busted, right? So, I don't know, is it a B minus or a B, John?
I just because it's like kind of flexible and there's enough common cards with synergy in the format that I think it could just be a B. Like the common shadow dark return, right? Like Through the Unknown is just like an easy way to just spam Minotaurs, basically. Like even if your ones in play aren't dead, you still get the one in the void anytime you play them.
There's a lot of green Minotaurs too, so it goes really good in the Argenport deck.
Yeah, it's solid.
If you're like happen to be weirdly in the Shadow Unleashed deck that you can bounce this guy, then it's kind of crazy. But you're not typically in Shadow, but if you are, that would be nuts in that deck. Yeah, solid B for this unit. It's a great 3-drop for, I mean, that's very above vanilla, right? 4-3 for 3, even if you just play it on turn 3. So,
all right, sweet. So B for Golden Horn Security. Next up is Grim Reminder. This is a 4 Shadow Cursed Relic. Inscribe. At the start of your turn, deal 1 damage to enemy to the cursed player and gain 1 life. So automatic frenzy trigger. Inscribe, and it has a drain effect, which gives you some level of inevitability. I like this card. Think because of the Inscribe, it's probably a B, right? It kind of goes back to that whole thing. It's a power that does something. And then once again, it's an automatic trigger for Frenzy, which is relevant in this format. So I like B for it. Alex?
if I'm not in the Frenzy deck, then it's just like a deck that, I mean, a card that I would be, perfectly okay with playing, but not prioritizing by any means. So C plus, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, if I have 0 reasons to care about Frenzy, I think C plus is fair. It's like if you're doing a Frenzy deck, though, this is like one of the best ways you can trigger Frenzy, because the timing at the start of your turn is like exactly where you want your Frenzy triggers, and there's not many cards that actually do that, especially without you having to commit resources after the fact. So like build around Frenzy card, I think this is like B plus even, but I think just as a card in a random deck, as a Inscribe card, I think C plus is fair.
Okay. Yeah, I could see, after hearing you guys, I definitely was probably a little high on it for sure. So C plus for Grim Reminder. Next up is In Service. This is a spell for 4 Shadow. Play a non-hero unit from your void.
In Service will not be in service for me.
I mean, we've talked about some rares that were pretty busted that aren't heroes, but then again, I guess you're already in like a double rare territory, and it's not fast. I think this is just like probably just a C minus, right?
Yeah, one of the issues with this card is a lot of the cards you'd want to recur are your Unleash cards, and this one means you're paying 4 for the first one, which is usually not where you want to be. So in most of those cases, Through the Unknown is just strictly better. Even though you're just drawing it, that lets you then unleash like you normally would. Because the fact that you can't get a hero means like a lot of your best units you can't like cheat them into play with this in any kind of way, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like I think C minus is kind of fair for this card in most cases.
Yeah, I think you're right. Good call. Yeah. Alex?
D plus.
All right. C minus for in service. Fair enough. Next up is Saheen Stately. Oh, wow. What happened to Saheen? Was he this kind of corrupted? No, right? He was just a regular mayor? Wait, he's an explorer now?
He
Am I
definitely
thinking
got
of the wrong-
old. He got old
Am I-
and started wandering in the desert, it looks like.
And his eyes are jacked. Something took over him. Anywho,
I mean,
all right.
it's from the sand, right? He got sand in his eyes.
Oh, okay. Fair. Saheen Stateless is a 3/4 explorer for 4 shadow. Lifesteal while you have a relic. Summon. The enemy player must choose give you one of their relics, or Saheen deals 4 damage to them. Question, John. If they don't have a relic, can they still pick that mode?
No.
Okay. All right. I mean, 3/4 for 4 is fine, I guess. I don't know.
3/4
C?
drain 4.
Yeah, fair. So
Well, heal 4 or drain 4, depending on your deck.
yeah. I don't know, just a C.
I could even go C plus, but I don't think he quite gets into B territory.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Alex?
Yeah, C plus for Saheen.
All right, so C plus for Saheen. All right, and next up, the Big Wheel. This is a relic for 4 shadow. At the start of your turn, draw an additional card and take damage equal to its cost. If it's a power, gain 2 health. Ooh, man, with great power comes great cost. Holy cow. I like drawing 2 cards a turn, but man, this thing could potentially kill you.
Can kill you very easily, in fact.
Yeah, man.
Like,
Yeah,
I think I would run this card, right?
Yeah, I don't
But-
think I could resist playing this anytime
Yes.
I happen to draft it.
But man, it's killed opponents more often than them killing me.
Yeah. But like, so I think on average, right, like you're definitely getting the draw every turn. As how fast it kills you is a little deck dependent, but I think on average you're like over 3 turns probably losing what, like 3 or 4 life on average.
Until I draw my back-to-back 6 drops.
Well, I think it's a risk running too many costly things alongside this card, right? So that's why I said it's kind of deck dependent.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you know, if you're mostly lower to the ground, like if your curve stops at like 4, I think you'd be happy to run this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially if like, so sometimes your finisher could be like a card like Chemtrail, whatever, right? It's only 2 cost, but it's really like a 6 cost card in your deck, you know? So I think you'd want cards like that where it's like the actual cost of the card isn't what it really is when you play it, you know?
Yeah, and then plus, like, you could also have some level of lifesteal in your deck as well, right?
Sure. It's definitely a high risk, high reward kind of card. It's just like so much card advantage if left unchecked.
So what are we giving it?
Yeah. C plus B minus. This one's hard to rate.
Alex?
I want, the draw 2 cards a turn is very powerful, even if it's doing damage to you. And like you said, it's not hard in this color, especially to have some life still going on. So I'm on a B minus for this. Easy for me.
Okay.
All right, we'll go B minus. I'm probably gonna die to this card more on both sides of the board, but we'll go B minus for the Big Wheel. I like it though. I think it's a very interesting card for sure. All right. Next up is the one that John preluded to earlier, Black Maw Carnosaur. John, tell us about this card.
Sure. It's a dinosaur, 5 double shadow for a 6/6 deadly. And it also has taunt while the enemy player has more units than you. And it also has lifesteal while the enemy player has more health than you. So I mean, this is like as solid as it gets,
Yeah.
right?
A plus, right?
Maybe just an A, but could be A plus. Yeah, it's definitely A range. Like,
I mean, this thing shines when you're behind, and
right.
then it's just dumb. I mean, it's just great when you're ahead or at parity. So I don't know. I think that's an A plus.
Yeah, it's like a card that stabilizes you and then puts you into the state where you're ahead, and then helps you continue to stomp. Like,
Yep. All right.
great card. Like A minus maybe, but A.
All right, fine. We'll give it an even A then. Fair
Just
enough.
an A.
Even A for Black Maw Carnosaur, and it like absolutely asks nothing of you to put in your deck. It's fantastic. Next up, Gift of the Auric Bank. This is a relic for 5 Shadow. Your Minotaurs and weapons have +2/+1. Summon, play 2 1/1 Minotaurs with Taunt. So it's a build around A, right? I mean, plain and simple. It's got to be a build around. You have
No,
to
I don't think you need to build around at all. I think it's fine with literally no other Minotaurs in your deck.
Oh, wait. Okay, so the 1/1s it plays will get so pay 5 and you get what 2,
2, 3,
4,
2.
2. Okay, all right. Yeah, you're right. All right, fair enough. Good point. So B.
It also buffs your weapons. Yeah, I think like just by itself, yeah, I think at least a B.
B, and in the right deck, easy A.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll give it an even B. You're right. I missed the fact that it buffs the 2 units it makes right away. You're right. So yep, solid B for a Gift of the Auric Bank. That will do it for Shadow. Shadow felt pretty solid as well. I don't think we had any real stinkers in there. Yeah. I liked it. I think Shadow was strong.
Some powerful rares.
I have been pulled into Shadow by its rares because the commons and uncommons are poopy.
Fair enough. Oh wow, we have actually quite a few multi-faction cards. All right, so let's get on into it. Rockfort is first up. Relic for 3 Praxis. At the start of your turn, play an Etched Totemite, which of course is the 0/1 that you have to sack at the beginning of your turn for 1 power. And then pay 5 to give a unit +1 strength, charge, and taunt this turn. Man, 5 is a lot. I don't think I like this card. John, is there any bright side to it? Like I could see its application, but man,
there's
it
some
just feel
bright
clunky.
side. It's nice. If you have some synergies that care about the the units, I think it goes up. But I think just by itself, like just being able to give any of your units taunt and plus attack is already it can kind of be like a repeatable removal of sorts. And then like because paying 5 to give a unit charge is usually not going to really come into play, except that it works with these totemites, which can enable the rest of your team to attack sometimes. But yeah, it's just like a 3-cost relic with a repeatable effect that's good, and it makes a dude every turn that maybe you can do something with. Like I think with no synergies, it's still probably like a B minus.
Okay, all right. It feels clunky to me, but I'll take your word for it.
It
Alex,
is a
where are
little
you at on it?
clunky. It is a little clunky, like that's for sure. But I think it's got enough going on that I think I would play it anytime I'm playing these colors. Like I don't think I would necessarily splash a color just to play this card.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Maybe that makes it more of a C plus. But
okay, all right. Alex, what about you?
Yeah, I was about to say I'm on a C plus for this card.
Okay. All right, so C plus for Rockfort, because I'm kind of low on it personally. But all right, next up is Arcanum's True Heart. This is a 1/1 Sentinel for 4 double Praxis. Has Reckless. Arcanum's True Heart can't die if it has any strength. When it attacks, it gets +1/+1. Then increase this ability by +1/+1. Man, this card feels good to me. Now that I think about it, there's only the one slow spell that does a -1/-1, and really you just have a fine window for this to happen, right?
no, I think you're way off there. I don't even know actually what slow spell you're referring to. There's
the one. It's like three shadow, deal -1/-1, and then unleash.
That's fast.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, so like that's the common one. There's Shadow Uncommon that does minus. There's there's just like the 3/3 for 2 that gives minus. There's, you know, commons that silence and stun attacker. There's a relic you can put on it that says it can't attack. There's, you know, I don't think it's like busted. It has some inevitability if left unchecked, but it's also like kind of slow to get going.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and it's kind of hard to cast. It doesn't
And it's bad when
stabilize
you're
you
behind,
really,
yeah.
because of the reckless. So like, I'm a little lower on it maybe. Like, I still think it's pretty good though. Like, I could give it a B minus.
Nah, I think C plus is good.
Okay.
Alex?
Yeah, C plus. It's really hard to cast, you know?
Yeah.
Really hard.
I mean, it's got to get going. It's like the locomotive, right? The momentum,
It's like
whatever.
Yeah, except Momentum Builder was also good at stabilizing you.
Yeah, fair. Until you start attacking with it. All right. Next up is Riot Detail. This is a 2/2 Minotaur for 2 Rakano. Charge and then summon. Give Riot Detail +2/+2 or taunt this. All right, so hold on, John. Is it +2/+2 permanently, or is the +2/+2 also this turn?
I haven't played this card, but it sure reads like it's a temporary +2/+2.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well. This is just a C, right? I think it's fine.
Yeah, maybe C plus, but yeah, it's definitely C range.
Alex?
Yeah. 2-drop with some upside, C plus.
Okay. C plus for Riot Detail. It's not busted, but you know, C plus. It does things better than your average 2-drop. Next up is Give Chase. This is a spell for 5 double Rakano. Play 2 units from the top 5 cards of your deck with cost 3 or less. They get +2. They get +2/+2 and charge this turn. At the end of your turn, put them into your hand. Is this good in limited, John? I know you said you've seen some people do some busted things in constructed.
I don't think this is good in limited.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it can be very powerful in the right constructed deck, but even then, it's still a market card because it like having it main deck kind of goes against its hits, right? So, I really don't think I would play this in limited.
Okay, yeah, me either. I don't think so either. Where are you at, Alex?
Yeah, I give this one an F, unfortunately. Poor legendary.
All right, cool. F it is for Give Chase. We will not be chasing you, my friend. Next up is Uncrossable Ravine. This is a spell for 5 Skycrag. Deal 1 damage to each unit, site, and player. Play a random 1-cost unit and give it +1/+1 for each damage dealt this way. F?
Right? Here, start us off, Alex.
Is it? Oh, it's my turn? Let's see here.
I mean, you're paying 5 to do 1 damage, which most likely won't kill too many things. And it does give it gives it the +1/+1, but you're still playing a 1-cost unit, which, I mean, I guess you could roll
they all get
one
bigger,
of the.
though. You know, if you kill some random, there's a lot of 1 toughness things.
I mean, and it gets the +1/+1 for each damage dealt this way. So whether it kills something or not, it still would count the +1/+1. But
yeah,
like,
even and the damage done to the player will get you +1/+1 on it. Is this? I think this is good. Am I crazy? I don't know. I need John's help.
I don't like this card. I give it an F, but I could be wrong.
I think so. What's the worst case scenario here?
There's no board, and you get.
Yeah, so the worst thing is if there's literally no units in play on either side, so it deals 2, so you get a 1 cost with +2/+2. So that's the floor, and then the ceiling is like it kills like 1 or 2 of their units. It plays a 1-drop with like +6/+6, which could be kind of great. So I think this is like,
Worst
if I'm in these
scenario,
colors, I'm playing this. Period.
Isn't it 2 1/3/3s? Isn't it 2 1/1s with 3 if it does 2 damage, 1 to you and 1 to the opponent?
You only get
No.
one cost unit. The
Yeah.
damage is what equals the +1/+1 counters. So
Yeah, the buff is the variable.
yeah, you're always only gonna get one
it's
unit
always
off
just
it.
one unit. Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's what was making you think it was busted that you got like a board, but all of a sudden, yeah, interesting card.
It's interesting. Like literally, I would play this anytime I'm in. It's Skycrag, right?
Okay,
Yeah, I think I would throw it into a deck. Is like I would say B. It might even pull me into those colors potentially just to try it because I want to try it.
Okay, John, what do you want to give it?
I think B is fine.
Okay, B for Uncrossable Ravine. Next up, Clash of Wills. This is a 6 Skycrag spell. Each player draws 3 cards, then deal 1 damage to the enemy player for each card in their hand. Can I give this one an F? I'm giving my opponent 3 cards.
3 cards that they get to use first.
This is an F, right? Yes?
Unless you kill him with the damage. But
Right.
yeah, D minus.
Yeah, D minus. I'm cool with that.
Fine.
I could do F.
No, that's fine. It can kill your opponent. Ugh. I mean, you draw. Yeah. Anyways, Break and Enter is a spell for 5 Skycrag or Stone Scar. Deal 5 damage to any enemy, and the top unit or weapon of your deck gets +5 Strength permanently. I like this card. I actually had the fortune. My Stone Scar burn deck had 2 of these bad boys. It's kind of the reason why I went Stone Scar. And like this card delivered.
It does.
It is a slow spell, so and it is specifically 5 damage, so they could potentially outclass the damage. But I mean, 5 kills a lot of things, and giving +5 strength to your deck. I mean, Stone Scar runs 2 weapons that have overwhelm, and you know you have access to unblockable units and stuff like that. I think this is quite powerful. So I don't know. It's not quite efficient removal, so it's probably still like a B minus. But I like this card. B minus for me, Alex.
I'm on straight B. Like the deck that wants this the most, the Frenzy deck, the 5 damage to the face with some Frenzy triggers, like can be like the game right there. So I'm just on a solid B for this card.
Mm-hmm. John?
B works for me as well.
Yeah, you're right. The fact that you could just worst case scenario point at somebody's face is pretty solid as well. All right, B for Break and Enter. Next up, Brick Laden Juggernaut is a 10/10 engine for 8 double Stone Scar. Reckless Taunt. Brick Laden Juggernaut doesn't heal at the end of its turn. At the end of turns. I mean, it's exactly what Stone Scar wants, right? It's going to take a blocker out of the way. It's going to kill the blocker. It's going to let your other guys in the board in there. It is 8 though, which feels like a little much for Stone Scar. I don't know. C plus, B minus, probably still just a B minus though, right? It blocks the turn. Well, that's the thing. It blocks the turn it comes to play, but it also doesn't heal from that.
It gets chunks, right?
Yeah. I mean,
you're like still exactly what Stone Scar wants, an 8-drop.
Right.
All right, so C plus then?
I think C plus is fine.
I was gonna say C plus as well.
All right, C plus.
It's a weird one.
Yeah. It is weird. It's hard. You don't really get to 8 in those colors typically.
Yep. All right, I like this next card. Minotaur Brawl is a spell for 5 double Combre. Your units get +2/+2 and taunt this turn. I mean, I like overwhelm effects. I mean, granted, this is not as busted as Behold the Truth, but it's also cheaper. And at the very least, even if it doesn't kill your opponent, there's a good chance it wipes their board, which is almost as effective. I like this card. I think you need to have a board though, right? Shoot. I don't know. I think it's still a B minus. I think the upside is there. Am I wrong, John?
Well, so this looks like it's insane, and I've just seen this in more games than I would have expected already, where it almost does nothing.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it's just like if your opponent is actually just playing some chonkers, and your average draft deck in this format has a lot of like dorky units, so like and it's just sometimes you only have like 1 or 2 units that you've managed to keep in play until this late in the game or whatever, like it does require you to have like the right board and your opponent to have the right board for it to really do its thing. In those cases, it's like one-sided wrath practically. And then there's actually a bug with this card right now where if your opponent has more units in play than you can block, it doesn't let you lock in blocks. I've seen that happen as well already.
Yeah, that happened to me.
Yeah, so that's kind of a weird one. Hopefully they fix that.
Super awkward.
But
which makes it very more powerful because it makes you just do random blocks after that.
Yeah, yeah. In those cases, it's extremely powerful. Because you're already just so far ahead, it doesn't even matter. So I don't know, man. Like C plus, B minus. This one is just so like current game board state dependent.
Like if your board is flooded with the, I like to call them those tokens that we're getting in this set, the Unleash units. They're token units, kind of. This is great to put on all of those units, So it's really good in the Unleash deck. Yeah, C plus I think is a good grade for this one.
Okay, fair enough. So C plus for Minotaur Brawl. Next up is Psychalis Force Mage. This is a 5/5 mage for 6 triple Combre, so triple time, triple justice, charge. When Psychalis hits the enemy player, he gets that much health and strength permanently. Summon, give one of your units taunt. Wow, that's actually kind of busted. Holy cow. That's pretty freaking good. You do have to have a unit in play, and I mean, it is only one, but I don't know. And the summon is the taunt, but anytime he hits the opposing player, he gets that buff. So he just can keep steamrolling. Feels pretty decent.
He can give himself taunt as well.
Ooh.
Like then he doesn't get the buff.
Yeah.
But you might get to kill something.
Yeah, I like that. Oh man, I like that quite a bit.
Yeah, the obvious issue here with Psychalis is the triple Combre.
Yeah. Yeah, shoot, that probably... you're right. That is very... You 100% need to be Combre and exactly Combre for him. So, does that put him at a B minus or C plus? Like, he still feels kind of busted.
I think I might go B minus.
Yeah, I mean, it's not too hard to get a card out of it, right?
Like, if this wasn't so hard to cast, it would probably be in the A range.
Yeah, I agree. All right,
Alex, where do you play? A lot of times is like counterintuitive because you might play it. It has charge, but give it self taunt for an attack next turn when you have your spells available. Like I like this card a lot. I would give it a B plus even though it's hard to cast. I love being in Combre, so I don't mind first picking this card because forcing Combre is pretty easy almost.
Well,
so as high as a B maybe.
All right, yeah, I can go B because, I mean, you mentioned first picking, and yeah, I mean, if you see him you first pick, that kind of points you in a direction, which may, once again, I think this thing can also be a trap, right? Because you have to be Combre, and this might force you to try to aggressively draft Combre when it's not open, or, I mean, if you see this in pack 4, if you're not Combre, you're not taking this, so, yeah, I think B. I think B is a good spot for Psychalis. All right, next up is Lake Terror. This is a 7/6 dinosaur serpent for 3 double legion. At the start of each turn, exhaust Lake Terror. Frenzy, ready Lake Terror. I want to give this an F. It's at the start of each turn. So in limited, you have to have a way to trigger frenzy. Like, I don't like this card. I mean, I guess you really don't care about it on defense. You're just going to be swinging with this thing and force your opponent to deal with it. But double legion is hard to play on 3. Let alone, like, man, I don't know. I don't. It doesn't have overwhelm, so it could be chumped. I don't like this card.
Of course you don't.
Is it busted, John?
It's good if you build around it. I was super skeptical of this card until I got slayed in the draft queues by BK himself playing this card. And I was like, okay, I'll try it. And yeah, like if you build around it, it's kind of good. But yeah, it's a build around card. Other like if you can't consistently trigger frenzy or give it endurance in some way, then it's just terror bad.
So is it build around B?
Build around C plus, B minus, whatever. Yeah,
Alex, what about you?
it's super annoying to lose to. Let me tell you that.
I like build around B minus. I mean, if you get it going, it can slay people like John. You know.
Yeah, like you could give it permanent endurance. It's not terribly difficult. It's like that uncommon. It's justice though, is in the format. What's
It's
that trick that gives permanent endurance?
Wait. Does endurance work on this?
Yeah,
Oh
of
yeah,
course.
because endurance means they can't get exhausted. Because
Yeah.
this triggers exhaust at the beginning of your turn, and endurance, like what it refreshes units or readies units at the end of the turn.
Yeah, it can't be exhausted except to pay costs
Okay, all right,
if it has endurance.
gotcha.
But it's an uncommon, but it's a justice card. But I see them in most of my drafts. I see like at least one copy. What's it? Reinvigorate. But that's another color. In these colors, you can just do frenzy stuff, right? Like just draft a bunch of those. What's the name of the card? The common wisdom that draws snowballs, or just play a few sticky fingers or whatever. Like,
Is the one power relic that gives your units endurance in this format?
negative, but you can use like pin the Jotun as well. Give this guy endurance while readying it and killing something. Like run a couple of those.
Okay, all right.
And honestly, like if even if Elysian is getting kind of picked, people will pass this card. So like you might just get lucky and get 2 or 3 of these in a given draft. I've already seen it.
I will
Definitely
have to
build
take
around.
your word for it.
Yeah.
All right. Build around C plus for Lake Terror. Next up is Diamond of the Valley. This is a relic for 4 Elysian. At the start of each player's turn, they draw an additional card. Players may play an additional power card on their turns. Entomb, gain 7 life. All right, is this one better than it looks?
I don't think so. I feel
No.
like this is a constructed card.
All right, cool. So F for Diamond of the Valley.
Yeah, I don't think it's worth trying to build around this one in limited.
All right, cool. Good talk. Next up, Eclipse. Oh my god, this one looks amazing in premium. It's a spell for 3 Xenon. Unleash, gain 3 life, and Scout. If you have gained 9 life or more this turn, play a Lux Penumbra. And Lux Penumbra is a 9/9 for 9, but of course, it just plays it, right? Yeah. Pay 5 health to give your other Radiant and all units in your hand, deck, and void +1/+1. I mean, you just play this on 9, right?
In limited, I think so. Like you could have enough lifesteal to maybe, get it a little sooner than 9, I guess. But
I mean,
yeah,
so what's the play pattern you're looking for this? Like, play it on 9, hope it survives the turn cycle, then pay 5 life, pump your team, and then you're good.
I guess this one seems a little weird for limited, honestly.
Alex, what do you think?
Pay 5 life to do the thing, like that's a little sketchy as well. But I guess you just gained 9 life to do it, so
yeah.
Like if you ramp this thing out, I think it's kind of okay. Like ramp it out with gaining life and just normal ramp. The Scout is whatever. I don't think it's unplayable, but I also am not too thrilled to try it. Like, I don't know, maybe a D plus, C minus, somewhere in there. I don't know what deck it goes in.
This is a constructed card for sure.
Okay, so D plus.
Like I could see it. Like if you have
I mean,
a deck
Build
that can
around
use
C
it.
plus as well.
I would have been skeptical about this card completely, but John continues to say how he hits, 9, 10, 11 power in this format. So
No, I
it's not.
think 8 is like consistently doable. I think anything past that, you have to be really kind of working towards it. Like, but I mean, I'm getting to that high power accidentally in some games where I'm just like board stall plus flooding. But I think trying to get past 8
Yeah,
is like accidental.
gotcha.
you know
Yeah. All right. So then just D plus for Eclipse.
No, I'd say the same as like that Valley, that dinosaur we just said, like a build
Oh,
around
okay.
C plus or something. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm okay with build around grade. Yeah.
All right. Build around C. All right. Next up is Forged Deed. This is a spell for 4 Xenon. Steal an enemy relic. At the end of your next turn, sacrifice it. I could just give this an F, right?
I think so.
This is ridiculously situational. And then if it's one of the relics that just has like a passive effect, you want to keep around like some of the legendary ones we talked about earlier, that you're going to lose it anyway. Yeah, this is... Ugh. And it's slow speed too. Yeah, no. Alex, do you
Right.
like this?
No, I do not like it.
All right,
No.
cool. Straight F. All right, cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right. Next up is Growth Spurt. Spell for 2 Haru. Unleashed. Give one of your units a random battle skill. I mean, it's got Unleash, but how many bad battle skills do you want to go through before you get a good one, right?
Did the Rhino get quick draw or something? Is that what it got?
It looks like it got Reckless.
On.
I mean, just saying. Its horns are on fire.
No, the
I don't
glowing
think it's
horns looks kind of like the taunt
Oh, the taunt
icon.
thing. Oh, I get it.
Oh, yeah. All right, fair. Leave
Okay,
it to
there you
John
go. John
to give the
wins.
big brain answer. Yeah.
Yep.
All right,
Yeah.
fair.
I think this is like a fun card. Like it's obviously not very reliable. But if you get up to like 8 or 10, you do this like 4 or 5 times on the same unit, you're
Yeah.
probably
Aegis,
going to get something
lifesteal.
good. It's
Yeah.
definitely better if you have like any
Something
kind
already
of
with evasive.
battle skill matters, or just units that already have like 1 or 2 battle skills make it a little better.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like it's very random whether it does anything you want it to. So it's definitely not great. Maybe just like like as a card or whatever. Like I don't think you build around this. Like I don't think there's enough support for like the battle skills matters, but
Mm-hmm.
like if I'm playing, a couple of those Huru uncommons, I would definitely play this card. And then otherwise I'd still, if I just get one and I'm playing these colors, I think I'd probably play it because sometimes it's good and it's usually fun at least. But I don't think it's like a good card.
So what do you give it?
I don't know. These are some weird ones. Just like a C minus or something, maybe.
All right, yeah. Alex, you go with C minus?
Yeah, I was gonna say C, but I'm fine with C minus.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
I mean,
you can really high roll some stuff in limited. Like all the skills are available to get rolled on, even though they're not all like on units in the format. So like, you can definitely high roll and get some stuff that's not even supposed to be in the limited format because of this card. It's definitely fun.
I'll let someone else have the fun. Thank you very much.
That's fair.
Next up, we have Conclave Siege. This is a fast spell for 6 triple Huru. So triple Justice and triple Primal. When one of your units hits the enemy player this turn, play a +3/+3 Gem Blade on it and draw a card. What? You get the Gem Blade, the +3/+3 after it hits? And then you draw a card, but you spent 6 power this turn, so you're not going to be able to play the cards you drew.
So
And
do you remember that Huru card from the Amplify set? It reminds me of that a little bit, but that one was like you only give the buff to one unit. The buff is temporary, and you would
Oh,
draw
and then you minus.
you draw the cards if it connected based on your
Oh,
amplify.
concoction.
Yeah, this is kind of like concoction, except the units already need to like be evasive. But you get like the permanent buff. So like if you have like just 3 or 4 flyers, they all get +3/+3, and you draw like 3 or 4 cards, like if they connect, and then those units are all like game winning units at that point. Um, so like I don't think it's bad. It just requires some setup.
Okay.
So like I think if you're just playing it alongside just flyers, I think, and your Huru, I think you'd run this card. Like
Mm-hmm.
doing it on 6 is not going to be reliable. But like, yeah, I mean, if you just get the buff on 2 flyers and draw 2 cards, I think that's worth 6 power.
Well, I mean, like you mentioned earlier, though, right? There's going to be a lot of flyers in this format, so it's not like you're the only going to just be able to get in there.
Right.
Granted, I guess if the attack looks suspicious, then the opponent may let it through because they're like, well, they have a trick, obviously.
Sure. I mean, no one's playing around this card, and just some games you'll be, uncontested at the time.
Yeah.
Maybe you're both racing or something as well. I don't think this is like unplayable trash. I think it's interesting. Definitely a powerful effect, but it's board state dependent whether it does anything.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, if you're at parity or some kind of close, this could break the symmetry in a big way. So I guess I can get behind that. All
I
right,
think
so
give this one like a build around, because it's got. I guess the other way to get in is if you have a few taunt guys in play, right?
well,
As well.
it's like you said, you need some setup, right?
Yeah.
What do you think, Alex?
Another weird one. I would just like, I'm giving these build around C pluses here. I mean, like, I'm kind of down for a grade like that.
I was just gonna give this one like a C minus because by the time you're hitting your opponent with a bunch of flyers and when you can cast this, like probably winning the game anyways. It's like a win more card. Like to me, it seems like unless you can cast it consistently on 6 or 7, which is really hard to do. A lot of times your power's at 4/2, like for turns and turns. So
Yeah.
like it's kind of hard to cast. So like I'm lower on it. It's very powerful. Don't get me wrong.
That's
but
fair.
Okay. All right. So C minus for Conclave Siege. Next up is Poacher's Menagerie. This is a relic for 4 Argenport. At the start of your turn, play a random 1-cost unit, then increase this ability by 1. Entomb, sacrifice those units. This card has wrecked me like 3 freaking times already in draft, man. Like, I don't know if it's just caught me in a bad spot or what, but my opponent really just has to delay the game for about 3 turns till this thing's playing a free 4 and 5 and 6 drop, and then I just can't keep up with it.
This is an OP rare.
Okay, cool. I don't feel as bad getting wrecked by it.
Like, this is one of the reasons why I'm higher on Dismantle as an inscribed card in my deck now than I was ever in the prior format.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that would occasionally hit a Brigade Hall or whatever, and it was still just a power. But this and some of these other, 2 and 3 cost relics, like I'm much happier in this version of the format playing that card. Like, yeah, I've been seeing this one a good amount too. This is like one of the reasons to be playing Argenport.
So, is it B plus or A minus?
I think I would even go in the A category with this card. It can just win the game on its own.
Yeah.
If you're behind, like,
you just got, yeah.
Like I was playing some draft with our teammate Ash, and like there was this one game that he had no business winning, but like we were getting smashed, and we played this on 4. The first roll was like the contract lifesteal guy. The second roll, I forget what all the units were, but like this card single-handedly won us that game. Like,
from
stabilized with our
Yeah.
1-drop. And it was just like snowball from there. It was crazy.
All right,
Yeah,
cool. So then, yeah, and that's exactly what defines an A. So yeah, A minus
I'd
probably
give it
because it's
just a straight A.
You think so? Okay. I was just thinking just because of the fact that it takes a little bit of time, but all right, Alex, do you agree?
I was gonna say minus, but I'll give it an A. This card is amazing.
Okay. All right, next up is Black Book Pit Boss. This is a 1/7 Minotaur for 5 Argenport. Endurance, Taunt, Warcry 2. When Black Book kills a unit, draw a card. Summon, the enemy player discards a spell or attachment of your choice from their hand. What do you think about Black Book, Alex?
I mean, it's pretty good. 1/7 for 5 is like the weirdest stats I think I've ever seen, but it's good. Um, Warcry 2 on a ton. It's gonna survive a lot of things. It can't really throw like cheap things in front of it because you'll just draw a card. It's an annoying thing to have to play against. I think this is a solid B plus.
Yeah, and it hoses your removal the turn you play it
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
with the summon effect.
Yeah, it clears
very
out the
much so.
way. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that.
This card's great. It's a easy A.
Okay, I'm down for that. I have yet to see this card play on either side of the board, so I'll take you guys' word for it. So A for Black Book Pit Boss. Next up is Direwood Hymn. This is a spell for 2 Feln. Draw one of the top 3 cards of your deck. Bottom the rest. If you have no cards in hand, draw any card from your deck instead. I mean, it's a slightly harder to cast, but slightly better Cull the deck, right?
Yeah,
Is
basically.
I mean, this is just a C minus, right? Like it's playable, but you're
I
not
think
like windmill slamming it.
if you have like one of these bomb rares that can just win the game on its own, I think it goes up in value. Like the ability to tutor that card is
Mm-hmm.
pretty strong. Um, so, but it just like whether you care about that depends on how powerful any given card is in your deck, I guess. Because like the ability to dig for that card, even without the tutor, can still be good. But if all you're doing is, if you just have a regular draft deck, all your cards are kind of replaceable. I don't think you're happy running this.
Yeah. So what? Maybe D plus instead then?
Like I don't want to just give this one a build around, but it kind of is. Like whether I run this is
No,
totally
I
dependent
don't. I
on.
don't think it needs to be a builder. I mean, it's Call the
Yeah,
deck, right? It's Call the deck.
yeah, with
So,
upside.
I'm on a straight C for this
straight
card.
C.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Straight C for Direwood Hymn. Put that in the old spreadsheet. All right. Next up, Can't Remember. this This is a spell for 3 Feln. Choose a unit in the enemy player's deck. Discard each copy from their hand and deck and give them Void Bound. The enemy player draws a card for each copy discarded. Yeah, see, like F, right? Because I mean, you just even if they recur, right? They recur one of their whatchamacallit, their unleash cards from their graveyard or from play, and they're about to play it again next turn. You hit them with this, they still replace it. They get to draw a card, so you're still going down a card for no like. I mean, I guess not no reason, but I don't know. I don't like this card. Am
It's
I
like a
wrong?
constructed card to hose combo decks with units or whatever. I
Yeah.
can't remember the last time I've seen this played.
Yeah,
Nice.
I
See
think this
what
is
you did
just an
there.
F.
All right, cool. Just an F. Excellent. That's what I thought. Move right along to the Skycrag 6. Felt like you alluded to this, like who knows when, John. I'm excited to see it. Super cool photo. Why is Caleb the only one not with like red evil eyes? He's just chilling. Everyone else is all like demon, even the bear. This is a spell for 7. Shoot, not vision. Instinct, right? That's instinct?
Mhm.
Yes. Fire Time Primal. Draw 6 random heroes with different names from your deck. if you didn't have 10 or more total heroes with different names in your deck, discard 3 cards at random. We could just def this, right?
Yes. Yes.
This
All
is
right,
a
cool.
wacky Highlander constructed card or whatever.
If you guys pull this off in limited, screenshot it and drop it in the Discord.
I
want
want
to
the
see
Sky
it.
Crag Avengers card to be good, but I don't think it is.
Yeah, the Skycrag 6. That's freaking hilarious. This card is like ridiculously janky. With a name like that, they should have made it like semi-playable.
Yeah.
All right. Anywho, let's move on. Next card is that was our multi-faction cards. I mean, the full spectrum, right? Some heavy hitters, some straight trash, and a couple of cards in between. So, I mean, if you got one of the good ones that we gave an A or B to, then that's a reason to be in the color. I mean, the thing is, though, we've seen a lot of heavy influence requirements, so you definitely got to be cognizant of that. But overall, not bad. Some fun cards, some cards to build around.
Yeah, Argenport apparently is the winner. Like both of those are splashable and OP.
Yeah, good call. Very good call. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah,
weird.
I think those are the ones that definitely stood out to me too. Like yeah. That's all there is to it. Okay, home stretch. Last 2 cards. Zoltan Conclave is a factionless card. Power. You may take 2 damage to gain an influence of your choice. I mean, I guess with that, no, it's not worth a card, right? I mean, maybe if you're running something like the Conclave or Psychalis just to make sure you can hit that triple, but I don't know. Like,
I second pick this card. I like it a
if you're
lot.
trying to splash, I think it's fine.
I mean, yes, but it's not like, what is it? A C? Just a straight C?
Sure. C plus.
C plus. Yeah, I was gonna say C plus.
Okay, I mean, it's definitely a safe splash card, right? It's right up there with Seek Power, but even better because it doesn't cost you a card.
Just bear in mind it does trigger Frenzy for your opponent if you have to damage yourself.
No, it doesn't.
Ooh, good call.
I did it, and it did.
You mean, did they have a danger bot? Because that's not Frenzy.
They had something that triggered the flying 4/2, the 4/2 flyer.
Yeah, this
That may
didn't
be
trigger
a glitch.
Frenzy.
Yeah, because Frenzy says when you do it, right?
Maybe it's broken.
It's
then.
I know.
You or an attacking unit or a non-attacking unit deals the damage. That's Frenzy. But there's some cards that care about damage other that aren't Frenzy cards.
I'm trying to think because in Constructed I was playing my Dragons deck and Carve It triggered Frenzy.
Well, that's a unit doing the damage.
Got you. Okay, all right. I see what you're saying. Got you. It doesn't say anything about power doing damage. Is that what you're saying?
No, Frenzy explicitly says when a non-attacking unit or you deal damage to the enemy.
Okay, gotcha.
This is the enemy dealing damage to themselves. Like that should not trigger any kind of frenzy for the opponent.
Okay, that might be a bug you have to report, Alex.
Yeah, like this does trigger some effects in the format. It's just not frenzy.
Alrighty. So C plus for Zoltan Conclave.
Well, actually, I say that, but it is worded you may take 2 damage, but I don't think that implies that's coming from an opponent. Like, I would definitely report that as a bug.
I mean, worst case scenario.
But then when you say danger bot, I'm like, my opponent did have a danger bot, and that was also getting bigger. So I'm like, I'm not sure about that anymore.
Right.
No.
But there's not a ton of ways to help you splash in the format, and if you just get past this and it's against, a very replaceable card, I'd probably pick it.
Yeah.
Because I like splashing.
Me too.
All right. Last card in the set is Collaboration. Collaboration. There we go. I know. I was like, wait a minute. That's not why I said Collaboration. Is a spell for 5 factionless. Draw a card for each faction among your units. So
pay 5, draw 3.
Yeah, right. Like this isn't per pip per unit. This is literally like if you have like 2 red cards and a green card, you draw 2. Correct?
Right.
Correct. What it sounds like. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So
I mean,
you're playing like, a third color. Yeah. Maybe you play a draw 3 for 5. I guess.
Yeah.
conditional draw 3. Like, but if if you're doing enough multi-faction stuff, like, if that splash is like a good number of cards, or you're playing like five like dual faction cards or something, that share the 3, like, I think you'd play this card. But I know I haven't had a deck where I wanted this yet.
I mean, the strength of it is the fact that it's factionless, right? So it can literally go in just about any deck. I say that, but a multifaceted deck. Like, obviously, you're not going to slam in a 2-color deck, but
yeah, I don't think you're thrilled for like draw 2 for 5 at all.
Yeah.
I like the Tinker and Yeti working on something together. That's cool.
Yeah, I think that's the Barbarian Camp Yeti, isn't it?
It looks like Torque, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued, like, what they're putting in this wood, like in the art. Like, I don't remember this like contraption and depicted in any of the other art.
We're gonna see it in the future card.
Yeah, maybe.
If I had to take my guess in it, it looks like a wheel, and they just, instead of a tire, they just wrapped it in wood. Because that's what we do when we have jet-powered Valkyries. We make wooden wheels. Anywho, question, John.
Yeah.
When your opponent plays this, is there a response window to kill one of their multi-faction units before they draw the
Yeah,
cards?
There should be, but
okay.
Fast removal is not trivial to come by in the format. But yeah, like that, this can technically be, interacted with in that way. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just some food for thought. So what, a D plus? Or is it build around? If it's a build around, it's probably a C plus. But I think just in your average deck, it's probably a D.
Yeah. I mean, you're spot on, whether you want to give it a build around or not.
All right, we'll just give it a D plus. Yeah, I think it's fine. You'll take it somewhere, right? You're probably not taking this card early. I think if you're getting it probably picks 4, 5, or 6 or something like that, and then you're either gonna play it or not. You'll know.
Right now, it seems like your average deck in the format is 2 factions.
Yeah, exactly, with a very light splash. So, all right, well, that will do it, guys. So thanks so much for joining us. Hope you guys enjoyed it and got some good insight out of it. A lot of interesting decisions this go around. Of course, once again, you can catch the video version on YouTube. And if not, I did link the show notes in the Discord so you can get the actual spreadsheet. And then check out shiftstone.com, where they added all our ratings to the draft tool that they have as well. But that will do it for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you. Until next time, as always, happy gaming.
Good night.
Good luck in your drafties, everybody.